Welcome to the Vertex podcast, where we discover the humanity in artists. I'm sitting down with creative professionals of all types each week to get more into the human side behind their incredible work. I get into what fuels their creative drive in hopes to show you that your journey might be similar and that your dreams might be closer than they appear. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Super excited about this.
Yeah, man. I I'm so glad that you decided to be down for this conversation because no lie, whenever this podcast was just in its idea phase, you were one of the people that I initially wanted to speak to, and it was one of the things that I kept in mind as I was developing. Like, man, why do I even want to do this podcast? And I was taken back to the time I think we had our first conversation. Like, I had spoken to you and stuff like, "Hey, how you doing?" Whatever. But first
Right.
time we really kind of spoke was, I think, in that coffee shop off Lee and White,
Oh
and we had a
yeah. Yeah,
small
that's uh,
conversation. And you told me about the story on how your life is like the fairy tale of the stone cutter,
oh
and
yeah.
you're
I
like, "That's like
hate
my
that book.
life."
Yeah.
And I have since gone and looked at the story of the stone cutter. And so, for anybody who doesn't know the story of the stone cutter, it is essentially a tale of a man who learns to become content with his place in life by means of seeing power and then going to attain it. And he essentially goes in a circle of seeing something he wants, going to get it, becoming it, seeing something else, all the way until you come back to square one and realize that you're happy with what you started with. And I'm so curious as to how is that your life and what are the different stages that you've gone through?
I don't know about being content. But yeah, but I'm back in Atlanta, so that's kind of a weird thing. Um, I don't know if people who know my history, like there was a time where I think I was like probably the biggest artist here at one point. I had done everything. I was at the High. I helped with art beats and lyrics. I put that off the ground. I helped Jabari and all those guys. I was everywhere. I worked for Nike. I owned liquor bottle. At one point, I think they're about to come out with my Nike shoe, but they didn't. But I was like, I was up there. I was working with Jordans and stuff. I had done everything, like everything you could possibly do in this town. This is before the Beltline was up. Um, I opened up a cafe here, that park grounds in Reynoldstown. I opened that up. I had done everything that you could do. And Back then, we had a crew of artists called the Sons of the South. There was like 13 of us. There were no art shows here. There was literally like two galleries that were kind of doing, I guess, I don't know what you want to categorize us as, like lowbrow or whatever it is. But there was only two galleries, Rabbit Hole Gallery, and there was another one, I forget what it was called. And then there was Beep Beep Gallery. And those are the only ones, and they were so tiny. Literally, it'd be like 5 people show up to a show or whatever. So it was just at the beginning of before there was any art shows. I remember Bahamu was just starting out. All these big names. Dax. All those guys were just they were just we were just kind of just running around. It was kind of crazy. It's crazy, like to come back to here and the whole landscape has changed. I think that some of the seeds that we planted here back then blew up to crazy ways, and it's amazing to see, like, um the creativity here that's in Atlanta. It's awesome. It's huge. Your stuff, I'm a fan of your stuff, Yo-Yo, like a super fan. uh you know Never knew like Killamari and all those guys, House of Dreamers and all you guys. It's just been I'm pretty humbled. Things got big in a very fast way here, so it's almost like Gladiator. I'm just starting from the beginning again. Went to California after I'd done everything, or like I thought it was everything. Went to California. I wanted to learn how to make video games and learn how to make movies and stuff. Um, Started a tech company there. I'm really, and we can dig into it later, but it was just crazy. I won South by Southwest in 2017 for like encrypting 3D to like protect artist rights for 3D artists and stuff. Then my partner stole it, so it's been a federal court case for 8 years. I finally got a settlement out of it, so it's just kind of it's been bananas. I've done a lot of things, and now, and I saw the writing on the wall of AI, so I really just had to bully myself and get off the digital track and really learn how to draw again. So I'm kind of like it's almost like I know it's kind of weird. I don't want to compare myself. It's kind of funny, but it's like I think a gladiator. It was like you did all these things, and now you're just like just drawing again, hitting the murals and hitting the streets and just meeting people, and it's just been really it's been awesome. Um, yeah, and I'm actually much more at a happier place because it's just I don't know, it's just different. It's different. So yeah, that's where I'm at now, and I'm talking to you. So that's what we're doing now.
Yeah. So, okay, there's so much in there. So, whenever I was listening to you just now, you said that you had everything and then you went to Cali, and I'm assuming that it was because you wanted to learn to make games, but if not, I'm curious as to why you left if you were in a place where you felt like you had everything, like you've done all these cool things, why leave it?
Well, I never had a chance to leave. So my parents have a factory here, so I would work at the factory and do all these art things. I mean, those who know me. Like back in the day, I was a really big DJ at one point. Like I was one of the biggest drum and bass DJs here in Atlanta. I would open up for all the big headliners. We used to run a production company called Shapeshifter, and I worked with Pleasure Productions. I opened up for all the big names at the time. But it's just it was a crazy time back then. I mean, that's 20 plus years ago. So I know I don't look it, but I've seen some things. So why I left, at that time, I stayed here for my family and all this stuff. And, I worked in New York for a second, but then I moved back. It just wasn't my grind. But I really, really, really wanted to learn how to make movies. And I really, really wanted to learn 3D because, and it still influences me to this day. I think we had a conversation. I know it influences your stuff too. Video games is a medium that, it takes a lot of discipline. It's one of those things that, uh, if you're in that scope of things, it's an immersive world. The world building and just that creation, we just like to make things. And I think that that was like at at that time in my head, that was like the highest art form. It was film, and then it had turned into basically video games. And so I really wanted to learn that process. And so, I just got to work. I went to Noman. I'm pretty sure you see Noman classes and their ads everywhere for a second. It's a pretty big 3D school. It's like the Harvard of VFX. It's just really they only accept like I think 20 people per class. It's pretty intense. It'll break you. It will definitely break you. But I went there at age 30. I think I was probably one of the oldest people there, but graduated there and everybody there is a badass. Worked at Aaron Sims, so we worked on Transformers, worked on Turtles. I worked at ADI, the same place that works on like, Terminator. I worked at that place too and all that stuff, just doing concept designs. But what I realized, like working in an industry, you're always working for somebody. I didn't realize how good I had it in Atlanta when you get to work for yourself. Uh, Atlanta is like on some true grit shit. Like it really is. That I feel like is the best thing about Atlanta. That in LA, it's always just like, what can you do for me kind of thing. And you're always working in the industry. I think there's an edge to it. But in Atlanta, you just kind of have to make your own mark. And it depends how much you put into it and what you get out of it. It is, this place is definitely a self starter place. I'm shocked when people move from the South, move to LA, they usually crush it because they just do everything. In Atlanta, you have to wear so many hats. I mean, you're doing the stream for Christ's sakes, yo. I've seen you like doing how you do a game jam and you're trying to like, you have to do everything. If you want to do it, you just do it and you do it to the best of your abilities and it's nonstop. And I think that that's something that I think the South has probably taught me. It's my favorite place to live. Lived in New York and LA, and I still think Atlanta's the best place in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely a place. I think what brought me so much of that grit that you're speaking about is just from dissatisfaction with like just a thousand rejections. Like I'm wanting to work in these companies. I wanted to do concept art, character design, helping on games, movies, whatever. I'm applying. I'm showing everybody. I'm going out to expos and conventions and I'm putting my work in people's faces and you're just like, it's dope. But They don't have nothing for me, and so I'm like, well, I can't just sit around and just like wait for somebody to give me the opportunity every time. So I gotta just
That's
run
I
this.
mean, I personally think that there's a personal bias. So, at the time when I moved back to Atlanta, I really wanted to start a concept school and get people up and running. I just feel like the people in Atlanta, I still have friends in LA. They won't hire people from Atlanta. They really try to keep it within their bubble and with their like tight scene, I guess. Cal Arts and Noman and a lot of those cats have a pretty tight hold on it. And there's a bias to it too. I think, ultimately, um, there's a total bias to that thing. I think, when it comes down to I I this is how I feel anyways. I think there is racism inside that industry to a degree.
Hmm.
Is you don't see, I remember sitting with some guys, some black dudes like for lunch one time and they go, "Why are you sitting with us?" I was like, "I'm from Atlanta." They're like, "Oh, that explains everything." Because there's a lot of Asian people there, right? It's really rare to find, a black person in the industry. It's very rare. At the time when I was working there, it was really, really rare. And I think that there's these some weird biases that they have over there. It's pretty weird. I don't know. I find it, you know, I learn a lot? I learned a lot. I made a lot of good friends and there's amazing people. I'm not trying to, knock it all down, but there's a lot of toxic vibes in there. And I think that, ultimately, with everything now that's accessible, I really feel as if like you could do it on your own if you really, really wanted to and you really put the focus in, you could definitely knock a home run out, you know. I'm a firm believer in just like, bootstrapping stuff from bootstrapping that, that what's it called, the South by Southwest win for encrypting 3D, which I was trying to encrypt 3D because, you make a model and, it takes you forever. Then you see it all over the place. People are downloading it, 3D printing it, and no one knows who the artist is. So I just wanted to start tagging all the 3D models out there and start protecting that stuff. Unfortunately, my partner sold to some military oil firm. I can't talk about it, but yeah, it's been bananas. Kind of a bummer.
Hmm. I definitely want to get into that too because I was doing some research on you and I came across another podcast that you were in. I think you got into it just a little bit. It was from years ago, but um
Oh yeah, that one's pretty deep. That one's pretty dark.
yeah, I want to definitely explore that a little bit more, but before I get into that, I'm curious as to where all of this where did all of your creative drive come from? Like, what started this fire within you? Is it something more so in your upbringing, or were you inspired by someone in your circle, or what got you to
Well,
go so hard?
oddly enough, I went to school with two very creative people. You're gonna laugh. It's kind of unbelievable me saying it. I went with school with Richard Devine. If you look him up, he's like huge in the electronic world scene. That was one of my high school buddies. The other one was my high school friend was Brian Kanisko. Brian Kanisko is the writer of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Mm.
So I went to high school with him. Yeah, I was in Roswell, believe it or not, Roswell High School. That's where I went to school. So I don't know. I just like making things. I think everybody in this industry, like, you know, the first day you make a mark, I mean, all of us who are drawing or painting and stuff, I know, I mean, ever since I was a kid, that's the answer to all. We just have this innate thing to draw or just create something, whether it be like, a little sculpture out of like your little kneaded eraser or whatever it is. And, I'm not that religious, but I do think that's probably the closest thing we have to magic, or to God, is that we make something out of nothing. And I think that's probably the most ultimate power. Um, that is, I mean, maybe I'm a elitist in that sense, that artists that we make something out of nothing, and especially when it's original and it's super fresh. I'm a big proponent of that when it's just you see the quality of a line, and you're like, I know who did that. Like I know I can just tell by the marks. I was like, I know those people so well. I'm like, I know who did that. Like I can look at it, I was like, that's Michael Malden. Easy. I can tell your stuff a mile away. I mean, there's a lot of like, that a lot of the stuff that's really influenced by animation here. I think there's a whole camp of animators, ex animators that are, within the scene. But I can tell your stuff from Kilamari, from, Courtney to Ooster. Like, I can tell, I can see all your stuff a mile away, and I love that. Like, I don't that it isn't uh it's not this simple like box thing where, when you work in the industry you have to do it a certain way, right? You have to march at a beat of a certain art director or stuff like this, which is good because some of them deserve all the credit they get. Like, they're amazing, but at the end of the day, what we're finding is, and a lot of the VFX industry and all those people are realizing is, I don't own any of this stuff. So what if you work on you don't own Spider-Man. At the end of the day, you're not making the money or anything. They just dangle that in front of you, and just the dream of working on Spider-Man is like, it's great, but it's soul sucking. If all of us just decided to work on, this magnus opus and like something like One Piece, if we did something every day, like a comic book about something, and just, I mean, One Piece's writing is all over the place. Let's be fucking real. It's all over the place, right? There's arcs in it, but it is all over the place, and it's awesome. Like, there's this thing. I'm realizing, like, the things that we make are, the tarot show was like the first one we did, that tarot show, because we wanted to have I wanted a yearbook of all the people of Atlanta, like a snapshot of all the stuff, like in a nice compact, so I can look at that deck of cards. We did those who don't know, we did a tarot card show featuring a lot of Atlanta artists. And, I just want to say, oh, in 2024, we did this thing, and there's a whole deck of cards I can look up at any time. And that's affordable for normal people, that they can see, and kind of encapsulate the culture as a whole and start preserving that kind of stuff. That's one thing I'm super mad about that we didn't do in the past. And what you're doing right now, like doing these podcasts and stuff, is that documenting it and, saying that this was a thing. I think that's super important. That's something that we didn't have the wherewithal, and I think that more things like this, Yo-Yo, is I can't tell you how important it is, because 10 years from now these things are going to be worth something.
I really hope so, because one thing that I learned too is I was looking at some video about the value of human art, or where it comes from, and how people can sell, like a canvas that's just red with like a dot in the middle, and it goes for millions of dollars. And it comes from what this video and this article was saying, is that it's not so much about the what's on the canvas or the physical medium, it's more so about the story of the artist. And so through these podcasts, not only am I learning more about the people around me, but I'm also helping them put their stories on display, which ultimately helps people respect and value the work they make. And so I'm hoping that that can lead to like an increase in the value of these people's work over time too, because a lot of people don't even know why people make the work they do. Not the artists themselves, but like people who come and see the work. They're like, I never knew you did. I didn't know that's why you painted foxes. I didn't know that's why this person did fish and oranges or whatever. And then they learn their story and what it means, and they're like, oh my god. Then they're buying up all their pieces because they watch the
Oh
podcast and
yeah,
all
it
that.
resonates. Yeah, I always find that amazing once you ever talk to an artist, because I never ever judge a book by its cover, because once you talk to the artist and you understand the processes of, what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve, and the story that they're telling, the narrative that they're telling, it changes the whole direction. A thing about the red painting, I know what you're talking about and all that stuff. I think that contextually, yes, some of those things are done in genuine, but I think a lot of those things is done through gatekeeping and through like a certain, like, who knows who, and trying to forward these things. People are in positions of power to like forward certain things of cultural significance. But things like this, podcast is actually showing, like, what the real underbelly is, right? You might look at Roman statues and stuff like this, and you're like, oh, that's amazing. Look at the antiquity. I'm more interested in, like, I want to know what the graffiti was, and like I want to know what those vagrants are doing. Like, I would like to know that kind of stuff, right? Because that's where I think that, the real culture of a city lives, right? I think it's, through um not trying to appease certain city things and whatever, and trying to get these certain, when you start getting grants, you can do these and you can't do this and you can't do that. But more like, this is how I genuinely fucking feel. And I think those things are more powerful when you find artists that are really just super genuine about who they are, whether you like it or not. I think that it's, I think that is, think it's a, I think that needs to be more of that kind of stuff.
Sure. 'Cause it's almost like you're curating like a time capsule for people in the future. Like, oh, this is what it was like, or this is what they like to do. And it's like, this is what we wanted the people of that time to think we did, or like this is it's a curated thing, sounds like from what you're saying.
Yeah, well, it's people who write the history controls the future, right? It's very, very true. Like I said, things like this podcast, things like, photography and like making films or, media that shows what this really was, that's just something that like I would like to get into with high contrast is starting to document certain artists that are really saying some really powerful things that need to be kind of like that need some light. Like it would there's several artists I can think of, like, off of my head that I just feel as if, no one's gonna really care about them until they're long gone, and, we live in this age of information that and those who control, like, all the channels, I don't think that are giving light to some of those that really are putting a lot together, right? Um, ever since I've been here, Michael Molden, like, that guy is phenomenally good. I mean, he's good at everything he does. He's no one he never no, like, he doesn't that's something that I'm really like. My next project is to really put him on blast, and just trying to give him some love, just because he's one of my favorite artists. He's so good. He's grumpy, but he's really, really good. Like he's such a good dude.
Yeah. I don't think I've spoken to him and stuff, but um his work is incredible. Like it,
Incredible,
he
incredible.
yeah, I've never actually had like a full on conversation with him though, but I know he gets a lot of love everywhere I see him, so he's gotta be a good dude.
You should actually, if you are asking like who should, that's a good one. I mean, I think he's just such a wealth, and he's down to help whatever, and it it's just, coming back to town and just seeing the explosion of all this creativity is really good, but there's some unsung heroes here that really I think that need the what's it called? The extra oomph. I just before it's too late, before it's,
Mm,
it's all evaporated and gone. It's
mm,
easy to take it in stride, and just be like, "Oh yeah, it's just here." And that's the other thing about Atlanta too. It takes its I think it takes a lot of its artists for granted.
mm. There's so much talent here that people
There's a
don't
lot of
realize.
talent here. There's a lot there might be a little too much at times. It's very daunting. If you go to like Forward Warrior, or like, we did that thing or across the street, the ACMF thing, which we're doing next year, but it's a lot. You're just like, whoa. There's so many good pieces. I mean, they're all killer. Everybody's a killer here. So it's amazing. It's awesome.
So from doing from pursuing art before, from being going to school with people who ended up becoming so successful in their creative pursuits, and then even now through doing high contrast and seeing people starting and flourishing in careers, is there anything that you see amongst people who make it, or can you sniff out when somebody's like a gem, or when they're like, oh yeah, he's one of those ones, or she's a killer, like they just don't know it
Yeah.
yet?
Yeah.
And
I can
what
see
are
it
some of
all the
those
way.
things?
I mean, there's some people that just have it. I mean, I'll remember I don't know if you know her. Her name is Divinity Rocks. There was a place called Yin Yang Cafe back in the or Apache Cafe, but it was old Yin Yang. But this is a musician though, but I just remember her performing and just I remember just goosebumps down my spine. I had to meet her, and believe it or not, she was a janitor. She's playing this bass and she's rapping her ass off, and she's fucking amazing. She has these long dreads. She's amazing. She's amazing. She looks like a goddess. And literally, she ended up making it, and she ended up killing it. Like she's, back in the day, if you see Beyonce and like, Jay-Z tour, she's in their back, she's in their like their band. Another one is Hello Bosco.
Oh
She's an
yeah, yeah, yeah.
artist.
Over Slug,
Yeah, I
right?
remember. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she what's it called? I remember when she started out with Tuna, and she's like, I don't know if I'm gonna. I was like, you're gonna make it, girl. You're gonna fucking make it. Like she just had that thing. There are those who just really want it so fucking bad, and they're willing to give up everything to put everything on the line for it. And yeah, those end up making it. Tunde, I don't know if you know Tunde, Fresh I Am. He lived on my couch for 2 years, and this is why I'm a big proponent of bringing up, you guys up as much as possible. That kid, I think I was at some design competition in New York, cut and paste competition, whatever. And then that kid followed me from there. He was like, I want to learn from you. I was like, I live in Georgia. If you ever show up, yeah, I'll totally teach you. I didn't think he was gonna make anything of it. That fool came to my art show. He bought one-way ticket to a Greyhound, came to my art show with no money in his pocket, and lived on my couch for 2 years. Ate like I it drove me crazy, but I taught him everything, and he ended up making Fresh I Am. I mean, his hats are in streetwear, like phenomena. The FUKK hats and the FIA hats, the black ones. Like he crushed it. He crushed it. In LA, I started a VFX firm. I found all those kids from Craigslist. I taught them everything. I taught them Maya, Nuke, everything that I knew. And a lot of them ended up working at the Mill, which is like one of the best VFX houses to work at. One of them became a concept artist and a 3D modeler for Hideo Kojima. I think does stuff for Death Stranding and stuff like this. Neil Rutledge. So Nick Rutledge. But it's just and I just think that if you the young should always eat the old. And I think that, if you're always on your like laurels and it's like, I know you don't, because culture is one of those things that just keeps on moving. It's a moving target. And what you see, you're playing, that you're just consuming all this content, and then what you guys are regurgitating is super crazy, like crazy stuff. And it's just dope. Like I'm so in love with your like just you have a lot of motion in your stuff. Like it's crazy, and just in a 2D panel in your stuff. Like the one you did for what's it called, the underground thing. It's so sick. I love that piece so much. I love the one that you did of your girl, I guess, for the last ABB show. It's so good. It's so it's so good. It's genuine. I can tell you're not you're doing it for all the right reasons. I feel as if I have to unlearn a lot of things because I ended up becoming a mercenary. When you work for a hire and as a hire gun, in the industry, you would become a mercenary. And I look at my old stuff, and I like my old stuff a lot better, just because it's more genuine. It's like that's how I feel. Fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, and I just do it to the teeth, and it just feels right, right? Whereas now I'm like, oh, the anatomy's off, or the lighting would be better if you like. I'm coming with like the technical side and not the emotion side with it. And to be very frank with you, great artwork, great artwork. Content should always be technique. Always beat it by even a hairpin. If you rather have, I always tell this illustration. I mean, if it's, some guy who can draw every pore in your face and every strand of hair, or that little kid that draws mommy with a bunch of hearts on it with like, simple smiley face, which one is worth more to you? I would probably pick the hearts and stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's because that's just pure emotion. But if your content is strong and your technique is strong, you're knocking solid pieces all the time. And I think that's where, you want to get to. You want to get to a point where and like I said, content should always beat your technique. And your stuff, yeah, your content is always better than your technique is flawless. I think it's good. I think you've mastered like your style. Like I think you know yourself very well. But the content is what that makes it better. I don't know. Makes it better.
I appreciate that. Truly, that has actually been something that I've had to actively work on because it was something that I was doing where I just wanted to make, well, kind of sort of. I wanted to just make stuff that I thought was cool, which in a way is like the content, and that's just me expressing myself. But then I wanted to kind of go a little bit further into it because I was keeping it so surface level, or I was doing things that were so just like, okay, I'm doing a cool fish, or I'm doing an eagle, which I think is just like, yeah, people are gonna think this is dope, but it's not exactly what I wanted to paint, or it's not exactly how I was feeling, or it's not 100% what I wanted to put on the page. It was just what I thought people were gonna like. And
Yes.
so I like did that, and I spent so much time trying to make those things cool, but then I'm like, I'm only ever just getting people recognizing the skill, and it's because that's all that's there. There's no heart in it, so they can't resonate with it. There's none of it in there. That you just did something cool with good technique, and so I'm like having to kind of listen to that voice a little bit more and dissatisfy the voice that wants me to like do the thing I used to do, where they're like, "No, just do the tiger. Just do the tiger. It's gonna be cool, and like you don't have to go into all that, or people aren't gonna think that's as cool." I thought like, man, a locals only, I could do something like real crazy, and I was like, my past month has just been like me and my girl and this puppy, man, and like that's all I can really think about. That's been front of mind for the last month, so I'm gonna just
Oh,
paint
that's
that.
why I love it so that's why I love it so much. I love it because I feel as if it's just good. It's just honest and genuine. Like, this is it right now. That's it. And I think that's why I love it. I gave me goosebumps. I'm just thinking about your piece right now. I love it. I love it. I just saw. I know you're a big animation fan. I just saw. I'm gonna talk about because it's on my mind. I feel stupid talking about because I've been like talking to my friends about it. I'm like, I love that K-pop Demon Hunter so much. Have you seen that cartoon?
I haven't. You were telling me about it a little bit when we spoke
Oh,
yesterday,
it's
but I haven't
so
seen it
good.
yet.
It's so good. It's so good. But I just feel like the people who made that really love that shit. They love it. They
Hmm.
love it. They love it. You can tell that they love it. And I think it comes out really genuine. I think it's a genuine thing. Like they really feel that way. And I love that. I think, that's something that AI can possibly do at this point. But, I really like the stories and like, how you got to this, how you got to this point, and just to create this really just, this heartfelt piece. It was a really good piece. I really like that one.
I very much appreciate it, man. So, for people who want to kind of I can imagine people hearing the conversation we're having right now and like, "Man, I wanna do the cool thing. Like, I wanna make stuff and follow what I love," and like they may not know all the way what they love. And do you have any sort of protocol or maybe a first step into helping people find what it is they love and what they wanna put their coins into? Like, some people are afraid of like wasting their time or trying to they just wanna do the right thing. Do you have any sort of
Yeah, you
steps for
just
them?
do it. You just have to do it. There's no silver bullet to hard work. I've met a lot of talented people in my life, and that's not the what's it called? That does not secure your place of winning the race or getting to where you need to go. I think talent is just a head start. Doesn't mean you're going to finish the race. And there's a lot of lessons I've learned from that. I've met kids that just weren't as talented, but man, they worked their asses off. They have done an amazing job with what skills that they had and elevate it to another level. I think, when it comes down to it, that's the silver bullet that you can't dodge is just that you got to put the work in and you have to bully yourself. I find it that, it's unfortunate that, now there's just so many distractions. There's just so many things that happen on a daily basis. It's just really hard to run away from. I'm having a difficult time dealing with it now, like, trying to really hone in and focus on, the things I really need to be doing. So I'm just kind of taking it easy lately and just really trying to recenter myself and trying to recenter my goals and seeing uh, what kind of legacy I want to live and leave and just really trying to refocus. I thought, at the time, I thought winning, South by Southwest and like, helping 3D artists, secure their artwork and all this stuff and getting paid for it and being at least recognized, right? I think, we make things to say that I did that. It is it killed me in the movie industry too that there's a lot of artists that aren't being uh that they're not known because, there's only so many credits, so they have to work under an artist, so they don't get the credit. You know, from the early days, I mean, graffiti is the best. It's like Tycho 18, whatever it was, from New York. He just in a sea of like I think at the time like 4 million people in New York or 6 million, he just wanted to put up something and say, "I'm here. I did this. I'm a somebody." Right? I'm a somebody in this crazy city. And I think that is like a caveman is just like this is what happened today. This is what my life consisted of. It is it's a travesty. It's a travesty to put artists to work and they can't sign their stuff or the work that they completed. I think it's not that should be the base minimum. More than money, more than anything is the recognition first. And without recognizing like, who did what, I just feel like I think I personally think you're a piece of shit if you do that.
Mm,
I think that, credit is due as credit is due.
mm,
Everybody should eat, but more importantly that, we do this because I was here. I made this mark on this paper, and this is me saying that I'm here, that I'm a somebody. It's an important thing.
yeah.
Very easy concept. I don't understand why people don't get it.
So where
Drives me bananas.
yeah. So from what you've been telling me this whole conversation, I can tell that you very much value being able to create, but then also being able to say that you created it and also having that for others too, not just for yourself. And I know some people who can feel differently about that. And I bring that up just to ask where does the want to be able to say like, "Hey, this is what I did." Because I can there were times where, like, I've collabed with friends and stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, where are you gonna put your name at, or what are you gonna, you know, put your credits?" And they're like, "Man, I don't even really care. I just shoot, as long as we're getting paid, it is what it is." And so to see these 2 different perspectives, I'm curious to know where yours comes from in that.
I think that comes from, the whole capitalistic thing right now. I think that you should get paid and also be recognized. Period. Even if it is an assist or whatever, assistant should be listed or whatever. I'm just a firm believer in that shit. I just don't think that, now it's just such a I don't understand how I don't understand how artists are supposed to make it in this town. I really don't see that happening. Like not I don't know how many money bags are out there buying original pieces of art. Like I just don't see it. I just don't. This is how I personally believe in this. I don't I don't think that it's a very sustainable thing. It is very difficult. I think it's very, very difficult unless you go and you have if you're very well connected and you can go to different cities very easily. But without that, it is very hard. It is very, very difficult without that kind of, without the funds or the time or the resources to make that happen. Um, it's difficult. I don't know how this is all sustainable. I just don't. Did those murals ACMF? I feel generally bad that everybody had to pay for the paint. It's so ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. They're slaving around the sun. You were there last year. Like, it's a hot thing, right? It's a huge thing. And it's just there needs to be a better way. Um, I mean, I don't, I can, but then if you do that stuff, you're very busy organizing things and you're not making your own artwork. And then, you become now an organizer. It is very hard to put all this stuff together and make it sing properly. But I don't know if this is correct. I think that there's got to be a better way. I just don't agree with I don't agree with how the standards are, how things are shaking out. I just don't see it happening for a lot of people. So,
Sure.
and people that deserve it, people that are really their work is more than phenomenal. They definitely put the grind in. They have no, and I think it's totally it's feasible. How it's put together, I don't know, but it is a very difficult life. It's a very brave choice to pick a life of being creative.
Yeah. So then how would you how would you advise creatives in this scene, in this climate to navigate this space?
I think ultimately, um, I mean, with AI on the rise, which is I think might be generally a good thing for us because it's putting more emphasis on the process of things. People want to see it being made. Back in the day when I'd watch a Disney movie, and if you watch the pencil test is by far my favorite part. Like you see the animators drawing each frame and all that. the process I find more fascinating than the finished product itself, right? Like them working on it. And I think that the whole world has caught up too. Like this takes work. Like it is not as to get that quality, you've got to put work in. And I think that we live in an age where you need to see the process. I want to see the process. I want to know that if I'm buying this from that person, or I want to know, like Paper Frank does a great job of documenting he does a phenomenal job. He has a little setup, he does it every day, it's nothing fancy. But his power is that the motherfucker's making his shit. He's making all of his stuff. Like he is quintessentially making all of his stuff. And the best part about him, he's not copying anybody now. Like at some points, but I think that, you have to learn by copying people in the beginning. You have to learn from your heroes. There's no AI learns from its heroes. Like AI will take the best from the internet. It has to start at the starting point. But the best thing is that we give, real artists give accolades to those that came before them and say, hey, it wasn't this person. Because of this person, I could be this person today. AI doesn't do that, which is kind of unfortunate. But given that, in today's climate, I think just to do it and to show your process and to document it and literally to go back and say, man, I've come really far, from nothing, from nothing. And I always say this to everybody I work with. I was like, I was like, first is going to be the worst. It's going to be shitty. I already know it's going to be shitty. Just count on it being shitty. We're not, we are not making crazy here. We're not going to win any awards. I always say that, but I will say this though, the second time you do it, it's going to be better than the first. I promise you. Right. I promise you, if you work digitally and if you lost a file and, when you're in like, when you're working in the industry, it's just like, I don't even second guess it. I just lost like 2 days worth. I'm just like, start all over. It goes by faster. I just don't even wince at it. I'm just like,
It is
you
what it
just go
is.
back to it. It is what it is. And that's the mark of being a professional. And like, you're betting your life on that. You're betting your life on this path. Um, you know, you doing this, like outreaching to other artists to get a better scope of like understanding, like, other people's modus operandi, like how they operate. Uh, I love that. I love seeing how other people work because there are things that I would have never thought of. And I might not even go down that path, right? But this year I've never oil painted. I oil painted. I loved it. I in fact love it better than I'm now like a big proponent for oil painting. I'm like, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was. Cause back in the day I was just not patient or I didn't understand the blending techniques. But now it's just, I'm just banging them out like it's super fun. And it's a constant learning process. So that's probably one of the best things about being an artist is that if you're down for the challenge and you're down to, get up and try different things, and yeah, it can be very rewarding. And and I know any creator knows the best is when you finish a piece and you look at it and you're like, I can't believe I made that. Right. You look at it and you study and you're just like, it's that, like, I don't know, some pieces are like, this is amazing. Like
Yeah.
I can't tell you how good that feels when you're so proud of the work that you complete. Like you're just like, that's what it is. That is what it is.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
looking
I
for
love that
that
feeling.
feel. I always call it looking for the yeah, because I'll be painting and like, it'll come together and I'm like, still not there yet though. It needs something. Needs something. And I'm like just tweaking, adding this or changing up that. And then there's a certain part where I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's it. And that
that's it.
I
That's
call it
it.
looking for the yeah. And once I find it, I'm like, okay, now we're good. Now we can send it off or whatever. Like that's super important to me. Is
Yeah,
that
and
is that on the actual canvas too, or is that like sometimes for a lot of canvas paintings, I'll do the sketch first, like just digitally, because it's just easier to like manipulate and all that.
sure.
And so, is that how you design as well? Like, do you kind of design till you get to a part where you feel that feeling and then go into the next, or do you kind of take like, the drawing, the sketch ain't really, but we're gonna keep it pushing anyway. We'll figure it out later.
I don't know. You know, my drawings that I do on pins, like on, all physical stuff, it's not like the stuff I do digitally. I think I have two different brains for that. I think most people do. It comes out differently. I've been more in touch lately with my more physical stuff, but then when I go digital, and it depends what kind of digital. If I'm going 3D and then using all the render channel, like all the lighting and all that stuff to build pieces, which I'm going to probably start to explore with more of my paintings to like do the 3D renders just to get the right lighting information. Uh, and really bending light the way I want it to bend is something in my wheelhouse. I don't know. It just depends on like how I feel. Those who do know me, like I have a very distinct illustrator style. Like, I won a lot of design awards for the way I draw in Illustrator. It's very, very different than most people. I mean, Adobe wanted to hire me full time just because showcase like how I draw with Illustrator. It's like, that's how I used to teach my design classes too. If you ever learn from me, it's like you'll learn like super quick tricks on like how to block out shapes super quickly and get to the get to the core essence of just the right shadows and stuff. Like when it comes to Illustrator, and I can showcase it tonight if you want, or maybe later to you if you want. But it's a super fast way to get ideas down, and I like it because it gives it that edge too. It gives it very, I don't know, I have a signature look from it just because it gives very sharp edges and it gives a distinct look to it that I can't just make through just drawings alone. Like it's just, you are we are what our tools are, right?
Yeah.
Aerosol will only give you certain things, certain results and certain things. So, that's the bad thing of like becoming a jack of all trades. But, I forget how the rest of the quote goes. It's not a bad thing per se, but at sometimes it is though. I feel like sometimes if you know too much, you want to do too much. And sometimes the end process is not the desired effect when you just throw too much at it. You have
Mm.
to know how to cut back.
Yeah, it's
So
like
yeah.
it's a little balance to it for sure, like kind of incorporating things. Um, but then it's I guess it is that balance of like complex and simple, like
But I think, when you look at things like Spider-Verse and they use the stop motion animation stuff and they're pulling stuff from like Ashley Wood style, like these like comic frames and stuff like that and bring halftones and stuff like this. And they're using a very 2D animated quality to it. That's when all of those things are seeing perfectly well. Like Alberto Mego, whatever his name is, the guy who did the crazy one for Death Love and Robots, the two ones that people talk about all the time. The girl that's running away and the gold girl, whatever, that she's underwater and stuff like this.
yeah.
He's a concept artist and they look like concept paintings. Like he did not compromise his style and he applied it to the animation, which is very it's unique as fuck. And what it's given us is a brand new style of animation, which now Sony Animation is killing it because they took a chance on something that was so new and so novel. And I think that, that's that's where like you guys come into. It's like you guys are seeing things, you guys are gonna put things together that we never even thought of putting together because it's right in front of you. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think that, those who are putting prompts and AIs all day and all that stuff, I do it. Like, I mean, I'm super fascinated with it. I'm not going to lie. It spits out things that was like, that's amazing. You're
Mm.
lying to yourself if you think it's not amazing. It's amazing. I watch a whole bunch of cat videos today of, those cat videos where they have these really sad stories. Like, have you seen those cat videos on TikTok? The cat AI videos?
No, I haven't. I'm not really
Oh
on
my
TikTok like that, but what are those videos?
Oh, they're just hilarious. They're just like these cat videos, and they're like doing these dumb things, like they just like, these sad stories, like like a cat gets cheated on, and like the girl, like might be overweight, and she works out and gets revenge on the other cat guy, and the cat regrets it, and it's so
Yes.
dorky and it's so funny. But the thing is, though, it gets something out of me, right? It got an emotion out of me. It got something out of me. I felt like it was worth my time to watch this stupid thing that I'm like, there is something there. I have you know, I don't know where we're gonna go now. It is very it it makes me mad and sad at the same time. Like, that, we pay with blood, time, literally time to learn our craft. And that it's just rapidly just something that is just an afterthought to someone who's never paid their dues. I really I made you didn't make this. You did not make that. I know you did not make this. You know what I'm saying? I find it very it's we live in some weird times. I don't know what's gonna happen. And utilizing AI, the more the ideas you give it, the more smart it, it's to a point where I think it's really smart. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see what the world's going to bring us. Like, I'm really curious to see what you guys are up to, like your generation, like what you guys are going to make. I'm super, super interested in like the things that you're going to create. Oh,
And I really hope that people use AI in a way like there was a part where I was like, "Oh, maybe this is something that will just kinda wash over." Like, I know, like, the Bitcoin kinda came and went, or, like, the NFTs kinda came and went, and I was wondering if AI was gonna do that thing, but the way that it's so integrated into everything now, it's hard to believe that it's gonna go away, but I hope that they use it as a way to do the things that they couldn't do instead of replacing things that they could do. Because there's some people that are like, oh, I can just, I don't have to write this, XYZ anymore because ChatGPT can do it. And while that's true, it's like, okay, well, if ChatGPT is going to take care of this part, what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and look at it do that, or are you going to do something, and then that way, like, you guys can come together and make something that you wouldn't have been able to make before? Like, I heard in an article that Masahiro Sakurai and his gaming studio is going to use AI in their gaming, and a lot of people felt the type of way. They're like, I can't believe Sakurai would use AI for this and this. But I'm thinking I used to watch a lot of his game design videos and how he made Kirby and how he made Smash, and he spent countless hours, countless sleepless nights working, coding, debugging, designing, and he's doing all these different things to make this game possible. And I'm thinking if I was in his position, he's probably seeing AI like, okay, AI can do that while I can be doing this. Like, I don't think he's gonna use AI in a way to be lazy. At least I don't think so. I think he's gonna use it to make a game in 1 year that would have taken him 5 years. And I think in
yeah,
that way,
I
that's like a win.
that's a win. That is a total win. I totally 100% agree. Like, there's some concepts I was working on, like the MJQ video game I was working on, and all this stuff. There's these concepts I was like putting together that, I needed a whole bunch of coders, which I'm kind of throwing code at it, which is kind of awesome. But the coders I know that are really good at it, they're kind of bummed out. I mean, it's an art form. It just sucks, but this is where it's going to go. Like, this is the way it is now. I think the people with the bigger ideas can actually utilize it to make bigger and bigger things.
Mhm.
Um, it's just, and I'm looking at, we make all, make these stupid doodles, all these like, little drawings and stuff, um, I think taking it to another level, like, making it to a comic, or giving it more substance, or more, more oomph behind it. Yes, it can definitely help you. The bad thing I hate about it though, I do feel like, when we use like Chat GPT or certain things like this, like I feel as if like what I like, so when I ran a studio, we had dailies every day, and and I was up for critiques too with all the staff too. Like, once we put it up, people would just be like, that sucks for blah. And you need to know how to defend your shit, right? You need to know how to defend it. Why you think it's so important to be in whatever we're working on, why it's important to be in the shot, or why it's important that we use this asset or whatever. And I like the fact that you have to defend it, and that you have to stand on your 2 feet, be like, this is my work and this is why we need to use it as a community thing, and take critiques honestly. I feel as if ChatGPT and all those things like says you're just a superstar and you're amazing. And it just doesn't stop. It doesn't tell you if you're like a one-man person. I think there's a lot of people getting in that, the echo chamber with AI, where it's just like, I'm amazing. I am the smartest person in the world. Like, it gives you that false sense of like that you're doing this. And I think I don't ever think I'm the best at anything. I just kind of just, I just work really hard. And I'm really on my grind time. And I just, I like to I'm not gonna lie. Like I like to showcase the stuff that I've worked on. Like this is I put in my time. I paid my fucking dues, right? This is this is a skill that I have. It is I it's gonna be hard to say. I think there's gonna be people that are gonna use it for the right way, but ultimately I think it's gonna be used all the way through. If I know anything about people, studios, people get greedy. Yes, they will actually use it to, and those who are smart will actually use it to uh, more than just AI controlling everything, but to control other people process,
Mm,
get
yeah.
over on other people. I think that's the danger of it. Creativity. I don't know. I mean, I'm always amazed at every little kid's drawing. I'm always like, I'm amazed at that shit. I'm amazed. I'm always amazed at that shit. Like in their little brains, all the stuff that they've gathered from the world, that they spit out something, right? They spit something out, which is like, oh, I never thought about it that way. It's cool. It's really fucking cool. It's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah, it's cool.
Hmm. Yeah, they speaking about improper use of AI or maybe what is it? Maladaptive use of AI. Seeing the I've heard of companies or like studios who are using AI to kind of cover the work of a large majority of workers that they have. And so then they're like cutting those jobs so that they can probably save money or
Sure.
and it sucks because then that ends up leaving a lot of people out of work just because of these, just because of the AI and stuff. But I think that it also has led to, like you were saying before, the opportunities for people to start their own thing. And you're starting to see a lot more of that. A lot of like indie studios and indie games and shows and books. I was even a part of something, was it last year? It was it was a zine, but it ended up being like it's like a whole book. I wouldn't call it a zine. Zines are normally like kind of tiny, but it's like a whole book. And it was an anthology, a comic book anthology centered around dogs. And it's called Fetch. It was made by the artist Ty Goodwin. I'm not sure if you know him,
I think I know
but
Ty Goodwin.
he has great work and he just invited a bunch of his friends to just do this thing like, hey, just come and make a comic, make a short comic, and let's all put it together and make this work. And we all put in this little comic. It had to be like between 4 and 8 pages, and he got like 45 artists to come through and make this stuff. And it's a huge. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. It's like right here.
Oh, that's sick. So how was AI involved with this?
No,
Oh, that's
AI
okay.
wasn't involved, but this was like
Okay.
kind of his response to it, where it's like, okay, like I know that a lot of us just got kicked out of work and stuff like that, but let's like make something together. Like we're not worthless creatives,
Right.
like we're not worth nothing. So he went through a bunch of these different let's see, like a bunch of comics, just
Yo,
comics
that's
about
cool. I'm gonna pick that up. Fetch. You
yeah,
should definitely put it on the YouTube thing. That's sick.
for sure. And
Dude, I'm gonna pick that up. Fetch by Ty Goodwin. Gotcha.
yeah, and
You
and
can
it was
pick it
so
up on
cool.
Amazon?
I'm not sure where you can get them just yet. I have to double check before I say anything. I don't want it
Cool, cool,
to be
cool.
like, yeah, it's on Amazon. It's not on Amazon, but I'll double check that and I'll definitely let you know. But I thought
You
it
should
was
put this on
so
the YouTube video too.
yes, for sure, definitely
Yes,
will.
definitely.
But I thought that was so inspiring because he decided, like, instead of just kind of laying in like defeat, he decided
Uh,
to push back and do something for his own. And he ended up he got these made and he ended up putting them out at Lightbox Expo, and he had like a booth where he was selling them, and he made a profit off of it and got a lot of sales, and it was a really cool thing. And it's like, look at what you can do when you decide to just pursue your own dream. That's like the big takeaway I got from it. And it kind of put me on a path of like I stopped kind of trying to get into studios after that. I was like,
right.
it my coins might be better spent doing, trying to grow my own plants.
No, I think that's awesome. Oh man, I can't think of the artist right now. He's an amazing artist in LA. His stuff is super weird, but I remember he was trying to get a job at ADI, but oh, I'm gonna have to look it up though. His stuff is incredible. But he ended up doing his own stuff and now his stuff is going for crazy amounts of money. He does all these like lectures and stuff and he follows his own path. His creatures are very weird. They're really, really strange. And his anatomy is like impeccable, but the studios just couldn't use him. It's really hard to make money at monsters. Monsters is like a really hard line of work because there's not many monster features that are like bangers that everybody wants to work on Godzilla. But there's only so
Mhm.
many Godzilla designs, right? And there's only so many Godzilla movies. You can't live off of one Godzilla. So ultimately, it is very difficult for them. But that guy crushed it and he did his own thing. And I think that's super Mahoney. His name is Mahoney. I'll definitely send you the link too for that guy's stuff. You guys should check him out. He's amazing. But he
Mhm.
just followed his own path and he's crushing. He's crushing it. John Mahoney. He's amazing.
Sounds
But
familiar.
yeah, you'll see he does like all these weird girls and weird creatures. They're really bizarre looking, but it's awesome. It's amazing. I really am a big proponent of just owning and doing your own thing at this point. I don't think that the studios like there's so many great stories that need to be told and that can be done. And I think you're right. AI, I always say I was writing a comic book and usually it's easier to write with a partner, but I use AI and I was talking and it sucks because I try to trick AI and then knew I was trying to trick us. Like, I think you're trying to do this with the storyline. I was like, damn it, how did it know? Like, I got pissed because it knew my trajectory, like where I was going. I was like, I think you're going to try to do this and this and this, and I was like, God damn it, you're right.
You know,
Um, it scares me how good it is. It scares me how good AI is. It freaks me out a little bit, but it is actually super helpful tool. I think it's a very helpful tool on creating things too. If it's made to create some stuff and if you're technically savvy and you don't have what's it called if you're not a luddite where you just hate technology and you want to embrace it, yeah, you should embrace it wholeheartedly and just really go down the rabbit hole and see what you can create. uh it's coming, it's here, and it's one of those things you have to accept. But I will say, when I saw the writing on the wall in 2017, this is before AI hit, and what I was working on was blockchain stuff before blockchain and NFTs got big, which is what the encryption program work. I saw a lot of AI stuff then. I saw like engineering stuff that the AI was doing that it really blew my mind away. And I saw the beginnings of the concept stuff that the concept art. And I remember telling my friends like, "You're going to be out of job soon. Like
mm,
this is coming. It's coming." They wouldn't believe it, and it's here now. I think yeah, it is. But I think you have to get ahead of the curve. If you have those concepts and stuff, now it's a good time to actually really embrace it and just really. Do I feel a little jaded? I feel a little jaded. Learning 3D rendering, different passes, animating, comping, rotoing, all that out the window.
mm,
Out the window. Like out the window. All of it's out the window now. You're like, wow, that's just too easy now.
mm.
But, maybe after this conversation, I should start really like. Did you see that thing I did for City of Ink? That intro, that Naruto intro.
I think so. Yeah, it was like there were artists as like Naruto characters. I think so.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just wanted to see how AI. So I did everybody as Naruto characters, and I was like, it just did the whole Naruto because I think we all had to like do a promotion for our team.
Mhm.
So I did the Naruto intro, and it came out bong. And you know what? It was funny. It was good. People are like, "Oh, that's a good way of using AI," because obviously I'm not going to hire animated team like an animation team, but it was a fun nostalgic thing, and I think that came out pretty creative and pretty fun, and people got a big kick out of it. It wasn't the concept definitely came from me, but the execution, obviously it's, by the AI's hand, but ultimately, yeah, it was a good thing to do. People enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was like, oh shit, look at you, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it
And
was cool to
directing it
see.
was,
It was
it was
definitely cool
funny.
to see, like, to see how it would get people's likeness and like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess that's how they would look if they were in that universe.
The style things, I don't know if you worked on it. So I worked on an Amazon show and they couldn't find enough extras. And normally I would just model or like, doctor stuff up, but I animated myself. And so I forget what show it is. I don't know what show it was, but I animated myself as a girl and some guys in the background. So if you look at some of the background people in this one piece, there's like pictures of me as like like a black dude, a Muslim dude, a girl, this and that. There's like all these different
Really?
versions of me. Yeah, because I used a stable diffusion. So I was just like, because I was just fucking with it. I just wanted to see how far I could take it. And it was just funny to just put that stuff together. And I was like, oh, I could do this. This is pretty funny. But like I said, like working at ADI, I was a digital sculptor and a lot of the sculptors hated my guts there because, one of me takes out five of them.
Mm,
I mean, I can sculpt out a demon face and make all the different faces and different horns or whatever in like a day. It would take them like literally a week just to
mm,
make minor changes and stuff. So, it's part of the thing. It's just moving so fast. I wasn't ready for this. I don't think a lot of people are really ready. Uh, I just don't know how kids are going to grow up with this. It's crazy to me. Like,
yeah.
and the one thing I will say this. After I saw the writing on the wall, I kind of lost track. But I started watching all those Jung-gi videos. Kim Jung-gi, the guy who just draws pen drawings all the time. So I really bullied myself to not do anything digital and just work with ink brush. And literally every time I go drink coffee, I draw on napkins and I leave them everywhere. They're all over the city. I mean, they're all over the city. I think Aurora Coffee made a T-shirt out of one of my little mini drawings on like something. You go to Aurora Coffee and little 5 points. I mean, I leave them everywhere because I just don't believe in my sketchbooks. I'm just like, I might as well just if I'm gonna practice, I might as well just give it to people. But it is. I think that the AI actually made me love this again, right? Love
Mm,
drawing with pens and just creating on the spot. And for that, I'm grateful. Like that is something that wherever I travel to different countries and stuff, that's a universal language. I just make a drawing of them or whatever it is, and I love it that it's on a napkin too. Story of the stonecutter, right? I'm back to drawing, which is so funny to me. But it's funny to me because it's just this shitty piece of paper, a paper that you throw away. It's not even good paper. It's the worst paper of them all, like the worst quality paper. And to make something that's so pretty that people are like, "Oh my gosh, I framed this at my place," or it's there's something very poetic about it. I really like that. I really and it was a kind of a moment that you just had to be there if you caught one of my drawings or not. Like I think that is that's me documenting my growth as an artist now, currently. And obviously hopefully it brings some people some joy or whatever. And it's just like, that's a magic moment that they don't forget that I kind of left with them.
absolutely. Like
In my
they
wormy
mm,
Oh,
what'd you
yeah,
say?
in my wormy mind, though, I think that, like, when I'm long gone and dead, these napkin drawings are gonna be all over the place, or, like, I have one of those things like that. That's, like, my secret, selfish thought. I'm just like, that's so like, there's thousands and thousands of these there's thousands. I don't know how many there are out. There's so many out there. It just if you go to some coffee houses in Atlanta, if you look in the back, some of them you'll be like, "Oh, yeah, they have a ton of those drawings." You'll see them in the back or somewhere, or some of the they'll have them posted up somewhere. It's pretty funny. In their
Hmm.
back office. Funny.
Might have to go over there. I'm not really a big coffee drinker, but I don't go to those shops like that in the city, but I'm gonna probably go to one of those and just to see if I can find one in there. I'm sure I will.
Yeah,
But
you'll find them. And if you're lucky enough, if any watchers are there, yeah, you'll if you frequent coffee places and you happen to get one, definitely tag me on it and just be like, I got this from you and blah blah blah. I was like, oh cool. I just like to see where they end. I like to see where they end up. Cool.
Mhm.
Fun.
That's cool. And it's cool that in the face of AI, I know a lot of people see it and they're like, "Oh, the AI can do what I can do better," or "The AI can do what I can do faster," whatever. But it's cool that you saw that and chose to dive into your own skill, into your own practice, and it's not like you're respecting AI's ability, but you're not surrendering to it. It's like, okay, this is essentially just another artist. It's just somebody that there's tons of people who can draw better than us right now. They can draw faster than us right now, but it doesn't stop us from
Absolutely.
drawing.
No,
And
absolutely.
and so it's
Absolutely.
cool. It's cool that you're able to go that way with it. And I'm curious as to why why you went traditional, because sometimes people could still go into the digital, or like if they are very heavy into digital, they just keep at the same thing that they're doing, but they just kind of, maybe they focus on in a different direction, like, okay, I'm gonna just do like personal projects or whatever. And so what made you pick up the pen again, or what made you
Well,
go traditional?
God, I mean, I hope I don't burn other people talking about this, but working in the industry, it's kind of a bummer to me. A lot of the heroes, I'm not going to name anything, but a lot of the heroes that I thought were like amazing artists, I was just like, man, their stuff is so fucking good. And some of their work, they know how to draw. Like a lot of it was kit bashed, photo bashed, and stuff like this. They're just really good at Photoshop. They're just masters at Photoshop. Working in the industry, there's a lot of people that just didn't know how to draw, like the basic drawing, but they understand like light and how to manipulate it within the certain programs and stuff to make some really killer pieces. I mean, they're stunning. They are stunning, but that was kind of a bummer. I got good at it too. I got very extremely successful at it and very good at it, but the core thing was I wasn't drawing it out. I wasn't really, really just drawing things out. And it's on your own grind. It is, it's a crush. That Control Z is it's a real ball buster because you don't learn how to commit, right? It
Yeah.
teaches you not to commit. And I think that when you have like a million iterations and you have like 50 different layers and 50 different colorways and blah 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 blah, you have all the different accesses, but there's something magic about like I'm committing to this and I believe in my own skills and you believe in your stuff that you're just like I'm going to get this done and it just magically just comes out of you. It's kind of once you master your techniques and it's just a part of you. It's not something that you have to think about like walking or running or breathing. It's just a part of you. That's when you're super, I think, just free with it. And I think that's when you become like a real artist, when you've mastered your technique as as a medium that you're not, I can just do this. I know it. I know this medium. Um, and it's even more, and once you have that confidence, you roll into other things too. It's like, because I know this, I can do this now. Right. Like, a line drawing is not shading, but then I'm gonna draw shading with a pencil. And then before you know it, I'm gonna shade it with a paint, paint and control light. Like it's different things give rise to other things.
Yep.
And it just adds to more confidence and more confidence. And then, you become a really well-rounded artist altogether. I think that is it's amazing. You know, I love the process of learning. I just never want to stop learning. Like right now, I'm relearning Python. Like doing all the coding and stuff. Even though that the AI is there, though, like I'm actually interested. That conversation I had you about, you want to do game jams and stuff. It got me really thinking. I was like, man, I got a couple games that on the back burner that I haven't touched in a long time. I need to get back on it. Now's and like you to to your thing too. Like I've thrown code at it and I was like, I can get this done. I think I could possibly get these games done, which would be pretty fucking cool, right? That'd be fucking cool. So, yeah, it should be, yeah, maybe I should utilize it. And it's something that, technology's here, shouldn't be scared of it. But I'll always have love to those who just can create on the spot without anything. That's just, they don't need the iPad or God, that's just amazing to me. I'll never forget. I went to India, so I'm a ZBrush. I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second. I know how to fucking sculpt in digital. Like I know my shit. Like the back, I can sculpt anything. Like I can sculpt it out. I can make it happen. But I went to India. This guy makes $5 an hour, and he made this fucking sculpture of Ganesh. He made it from the mud that was in front of his house. He just dug up the mud and is making this giant. How do you beat that?
Mhm.
I'm crushed. Spider Zero, Simon Lee. If you guys don't know who he is, I took a class with him. That fool he works for what's it called? Uh, Guillermo del Toro, what else? Does Pan's Labyrinth, all those movies, Hellboy,
Okay. Mhm.
Guillermo. He doesn't use any ZBrush. He just sculpts with his hand. He uses clay. Check out Spider Lee. I took a class. He's that fucking good. All those kaijus that you see in Pacific Rim, that's that dude. That is not he just I never forget. I took a class. He just like took several classes with him, and he's just like he made a Hellboy within like 20 minutes or like 30 minutes. I just was blown away. And he knows his because it becomes an extension of him. He's so good at it. He's the only non-digital artist on that team.
Mm.
He's so fucking good. How do you fuck with that? How do you fuck? You can't. He's that fucking good. He's fucking brilliant. I think to have that kind of mastery over something is amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
It's like when you're like undeniable, like when people start to make exceptions for you, because a lot of times you hear about an artist who don't do digital in today's day and age, they're like, you have nothing to talk about. You're not getting a job. But then he's that nice without digital that they start making exceptions or they start pulling back on certain rules or protocols, policies, whatever, to make room for your skill, for your talent. Like that's how you know you've gotten to a place not many get to.
that's really funny that you say that because when I was on the scene back in the day, I started up as a graphic designer. So a lot of my stuff wasn't I didn't use any physical mediums, and I got made fun of for using digital stuff all the time. It's like Dosa's a digital artist. He doesn't know how to draw because I
Mm,
started off as a graphic designer, which is crazy to me. It's crazy that you named this thing called Vertex because literally I saw things in vertexes all the time. If you look at Illustrator, those are all mathematic equations on a grid, right? That you don't see. And every point that you see, every Bezier curve, and all those little dots are just little points that add up to these images. And I always thought the vertex is super important. In fact, when you get to 3D, all those vertexes, like, in the XYZ space, there's like, all add up to, your favorite Doom character, whatever, or whatever thing that, Cyberpunk 2077, whatever it is, any of those models, which is crazy to me that they started off with this basic vertex, which was, if you see any of those PlayStation 2 games, I mean, they're fucking god awful with like, probably a poly count of like maybe 100 polys, maybe if you're lucky. And then now we have things that are like, I mean, a given character is like over, 100,000, 200,000 polys in a video game mesh or video game model now. We've all these little points that add up to all this stuff. I feel like you named your podcast very, very aptly so. Like it is a very, these points add up to all these amazing things that you can do, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, it's cool. I
mm.
always thought that was like Vertex. I was like, oh, that's a really good fuck name. That's a great name for a podcast. I was like very, very like, oh, that's dope.
Man, I appreciate that. I haven't seen Vertex in that sense before where you're saying that it's like meeting to another to another to another and adding up. I always just thought about like one particular meeting point, but the fact that you're thinking about it as like, adding up and compounding over time is also really interesting too. Mm,
Well, no, it was a big part of the encryption programs too, like vertexes. So vertexes are these things. So like in a 3D file, every time you open up a 3D file, you're on their X and Y, Z axis, right? And you can put a sphere in the middle and at the origin point.
mhm.
The funny thing is about those files, you could put a vertex, you could put one point in that 3D space, 1 million miles away from that center origin place of that file, right? Of that particular file that you open up Blender or you open up Maya. No one would ever know it's hidden there. No one would ever know like what direction I had to go 1 million miles away in that one file, right? In that one file. And I find it amazing because that's where you can hide things too. Like you can hide files in that one vertex, in that one point of space and time. Like you can hide a lot of things in there, which is pretty bizarre to me.
Mhm.
Like it's bizarre. It's super bizarre how powerful, that one point is. That little it's crazy. It's super bizarre. It's super, super bizarre. I find that super fascinating. But yeah, I'm very tickled, like, the fact that you named a vertex. Like, that is really good because I always teach this too, the ethics of all good design. If you're using programs, art programs and stuff, you have pixel-based programs, which is like Photoshop and stuff like this, but the vertex ones are stronger because you can upsize any Illustrator file to how big you want it without any degradation because it's math. It is hardcore math. It's not this one dot that has this assigned color of RGB values that, this is what it is and that's what it is. It is everything is scalable with ratios and stuff like this. So it is I think it's the most powerful, like, mathematics and art coming together. The Vertex is probably the most basic of basic building blocks for making the ethics of just good design. In fact, every time I teach a class, it's like we're learning Illustrator first. I don't give a fuck if you know Photoshop like the back of your hand. If you can't master the basics of design of black and white and know how things land and how to make a what's it called? How to compose a proper piece, like design wise, it feels good. It just has to feel right. Then you're not really controlling the overall picture.
Yeah, you
That's
should be
my
able
that's
to work
my
with
that's
very little.
yes, you should be able to. The great designers can work with mud and they'll make something fucking amazing every fucking time. Like you can give them mud and sticks and they'll still beat the pants off of you if they know what the fuck they're doing, if they know how to build things and how to really just make things properly. I think it's an important thing.
Hmm. So, in terms of design and stuff too, I'm curious to know about your individual artistic journey. Like I know that you spoke a lot about the things that you were able to accomplish in time, but how did it start? Like what kind of art were you doing in the beginning, and did you have like a different kind of creative dream before, or
Man, I okay. I mean, those who want to know, this is where my fucking wormy and terrible fucking mind goes to. So I was in college. I think websites were just Flash was big and Shockwave, and I was like learning Shockwave and all this stuff. And I just wanted to do things just to fuck with people all the time. Back the time MTV was big. I was trying to make for one of my senior projects. So I made a video basically, and it looked all weird, it was all fuzzy and it's all strange looking. But if you put the contrast super high up and you took out all the red out of the thing, the picture or whatever, and you put like, it's all green, and then you put a red piece of cellophane on it or whatever it was on top of the screen, you would have all these like a porno or like some cuss words on it, like on the video, but you're like, whoa. So you would see a secret message if you put something on your screen for the video, right? That kind of stuff. I was always like, trying to push a buttons, like poke holes in everything. Even to this day, like I'm always just I think it's funny. I get a big kick out of that, like, using media as a different way of doing things, right? I was doing an esports channel that got big, but then I'm basically doing what we did now, but I would have like a cutaway where it looks like we're still talking, where we're in the same suit, but we had a video up. And like let's just say you and I went to the convenience store and we're just talking shit about all of Atlanta artists and stuff. We're just like, that's what I did with the esports thing. I was like, it looked like we made a cut scene and came back. They're like, well, did that happen? And we sat back down. We're wearing the same shit. So they didn't know that they watched the video and they just saw us like do this whole like montage and stuff. Or, doing like, I'd like to shift things. Like it's a big deal to me. And those who know me, like, I don't know, I go through bouts of depression too. So my logo, some of us will find our way home. It was made through some dark times too. So it just keeps me going. I was a DJ at the time. So if you look at my logo, there's a wire. So and at the time I had gone through some really, like a really bad place in my time at that time. I had, the only thing that made sense to me is like connecting all the wires all the time for all my gigs, making sure all the, I was like, at least this goes here. I can do that. And just kept me going. And that logo just stuck with me. Is just kind of just keep going no matter how much bullshit you go through and just try to piece it together.
Mhm.
Um, but what keeps me going? I don't know. I at a fault, I think I run on emotion sometimes too much. I've definitely mellowed out a lot. If you knew me back then, I was I was really, I don't know, very about the cause 100%. I'm chilled out a lot now, but ultimately I think that I don't know, it's I don't know, justice. I don't know what it is. It's I just feel a lot, like watching like, things in Palestine and stuff, it bums me out. That shit bums me out. That's the thing. I feel like I wish more artists would say more things on that stuff just because, people look up to us. It's not to have the ability to make something out of nothing. At one point, in culture, the artist was looked up to. Like we were the ones that, the religious leaders and like a lot of communities and tribal communities and stuff. If you look back, those are the ones that are like telling the story and stuff like this. I do feel like it's a responsibility to really, uh, it is a It is, it's I think it's a divine thing to make something out of nothing. I think that's probably the closest thing that we are to God. That it's just a bunch of chemicals or product or just a bunch of images and frequencies that just hit your brain, yet you can make someone do things with it, right? You can move people. It's kind of crazy. If you study like Nazi propaganda art, those motherfuckers, those design I hate to say it, Connie might be right. The designs are good. They're really fucking excellent design. It's good work from an artistic perspective. Man, that shit's fucking evil though. Evil as fuck, right? It is. I mean, to brainwash a whole country to think that genocide is a fucking way to go. Those motherfuckers believed in that shit. Like it is a super powerful fucking tool. It is one of the most it is amazing to me that the studios and the capitalist people have really, like you said, I just want to get paid and not get the record. I just want to get paid. I think, I think a lot of artists don't realize like it is a very strong skill. It is, to do it, to make a piece that resonates with people, you have to know their hearts and somehow put all these lines and all these colors together to pull something out of them. That is a very crazy magic trick. That is a crazy magic trick. I mean, your piece did that. I felt it. I felt your piece. It gave me the feels. Things that give me the feels, when you get the feels. It's just like that's hard. That's good as it gets. I'm really about satire, and just sometimes yeah, I'm really big on the injustice in the world and stuff. It really bums me out. I don't like, artists getting taken advantage of. It's a big gripe I have.
Yeah, because they're doing something so powerful, and it's not being seen that way or respected in that way.
No, not the good ones. Like some of the greats. I think, it is a travesty to hear, uh some of these artists that, they die penny. Here's a great example. There's a guy, he's amazing in LA. You guys should look him up. Paul Komoda. Paul Komoda was H.R. Geiger's sculptor. Most of those aliens that you fucking see and all that shit, Paul Komoda. Don't forget this name. He works at ADI. All those creatures in King Kong and all that stuff, that's a lot of his work. He's amazing. Amazing. Fantastic. His sketch, amazing. This guy can draw like anything. He can sculpt anything. He's amazing. That guy couldn't make his rent when I was in Hollywood. Like he was barely making it. I think he's
Mm,
better now though, but he is H.R. Geiger forgot to put him in his will or something like that. It's so tragic. It's tragic as he's amazing. I think he's doing much better now. I think there's people looking after him, but it is it's shocking to me that you have this titan who is just barely making ends meet, yet everybody celebrates him. Peter David, the guy who wrote Hulk, the
mm,
maestro and all the stuff that's, all World War that guy died with no money to his name. In fact, he died of health complications.
mm,
Marvel didn't give him a red cent for that shit.
mm. Dang,
What we know of Hulk today, like all the all those great stories. Peter David
all the
died broke
money
as a joke.
that
Broke as
Hulk
a joke, and
makes.
they're using all his shit. They couldn't even give him a bone. That is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. They couldn't break that. He's the one who made those stories. Like he's the one that made Hulk even bigger and crazy. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. That part
Mm,
breaks my heart. I don't Yeah, I don't agree. Those are I think, well, when Disney gave me their contract, I turned it down just because it's like they own everything. It's like it's not right. Even
mm,
if you did something outside of work, they own it while you're still working there, right? So it's just kind of one of those things. If you do, you take care of. Are you like a horse in a stable, and you get to eat oats all day? Yes, but you don't get to choose the races you run.
mm, yeah. Dang.
That is the hard, cold reality of it. You don't choose the races that you get to run. I think, if you really I think people will see the genuine how genuine you really are, about the craft. And if you're really genuine about it and you're really all about it, it definitely can it'll move. It'll move people. And you just gotta really just try at it. There are moments I think I've made some really bad choices on like some of the creative endeavors I decided to go on. But
Like
no
what?
regrets, right? I don't know. I worked on some toys. Like I need to finish it. So like I got this guy. It's that Killamari thing I fucking made. It's a Killamari
Yeah.
toy. I still need to come out with it. Still need to make this thing. But put a lot of work into these things. There's a lot of toys. Here's the bigger one, I think. But it's just so
I'm curious to know where this fox came from too. It's a fox, right?
oh yes. Oh, that's funny. So I was known back in the day. My first like big piece in Atlanta was in 2001, I think, when I decided like to do artwork like
2000,
seriously.
2001.
One maybe.
I had to have been like, I was probably like 4 years old. Crazy.
That's funny. I I had done this piece and it's really minimalistic. It's a black rabbit humping a white rabbit. It drove people crazy. It's like an interracial rabbit thing. It's so cute. In fact, I had to almost sue Urban Outfitters for stealing it to a degree. It was crazy. It was bananas. It
Hmm.
was really big. And it was just, it was my commentary because, I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in the South. Every time I just dated any girl, whatever, I'd always get dirty looks because my dating pool wasn't there's not a lot of Koreans back in the day here. Not like it is now. But foxes. But there was one Korean girl I really loved. She's, this girl I loved in high school. She was born in the year of the rabbit. Everything was rabbits. Everything I did with rabbits. So if you look at my logo, there's a heart underneath it. So everything's dedicated to her. But I'm never with her. I tried to make it. I realized I was in love with the idea of her, not really her.
Mm.
It's one of those. I feel like guys have that thing, that first crush kind of thing.
Mm. Mm.
This idea, the idea of someone,
Like
right? But I like.
the rose tinted glasses type thing.
Yeah, it's you're love with the idea. She was the only Korean person that grew up in the States that I knew at my age group and at that time. Like, all the uh all the weird things of being a second generation growing up in the States in the South as an Asian, as a Korean, very rare at the time. Fun fact, my uncle owned the first Korean restaurant here in Atlanta, uh, which is bananas. It's just
Really?
yeah, just we're like the first. I mean, I remember growing up and just seeing an like a Korean person. We're having dinner with them that night just because it was so rare to meet another Korean person in the South. Why my parents moved here? Pretty fucking weird. But regardless, though, the rabbits. So started with the rabbits. Everything was rabbits. So um, we just timing just never would never be able to meet up. So I did the fox, and basically it's just me chasing after her for the rest of my life.
Mm. Hmm.
So yeah, that's why that fox
Wow.
exists. I've
Wow.
been chasing just something that's just not really there.
Mm.
So that's why I have a fox.
So then,
And oh,
mhm.
go on,
So
go
you
on.
made that piece in, well, the 2001 piece was the rabbits. And so was that, when did you make the fox officially?
Very soon. What's it called? So very I don't know, within a year or two or so. I was doing all this minimal stuff. In fact, I was represented by Allen Avery Gallery, which was one of the biggest galleries, if not the most prominent gallery at the time here in Atlanta. That he represented me. I was doing a lot of minimal stuff, very avant-garde stuff. I mean, got a lot of trouble for a lot of stuff. I did like a Ku Klux Klan piece. Um, I did like a lynching piece for what's called for Black History Month. It was huge. It was like a six, but I had to explain it. It was just I had to explain that
Sure. I'm sure it had to
because
be explained.
yeah, I mean, it was a huge tree with, whole lynching, and I had to explain it, but, my explanation was that, Atlanta is like up and coming, but this shit happened. Your grandparents remember this shit. Like not even your grandparents, your parents might have seen this shit happen. And it's easy to forget all those painful things, but those things make you strong, right? Those things can make you strong. You shouldn't forget that those things are part of your history, right?
It's had
It
to
is one of
happen.
those things and it's gonna happen again, which is bananas to me. I'm so pissed off about that shit. That that Charlottesville, that rant where they're all their tiki torches. It was just like, really? After the civil rights movements and all this crazy bullshit, and we get to this point, we're going people still think this way. It 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 scares me to think that, it's like this black thing that this terrible thing that happened in Black America, and that it's just people don't want to see it as like it happens. And the thing is, the Jewish community and other communities, like they definitely hold their pain. They use it as a sense of strength, right? The Jewish community will never forget, never let you forget the Holocaust happened. There's museums about it. There, all this stuff that there's some strength is like, it's like this, we cannot let this happen again at all costs.
Mm.
At all costs. Like those things are easily to forget. And I think that, it's one of those things that for me, um, after looking at all these books about, whatever, forget the past and all this stuff. I was like, I don't want to do that actually. I feel like that's kind of part of my identity. And it's one of those things that, if anything, all the scars that I have are kind of a reminder of like things could be worse, and I can't let that happen again. Like I have to, it's a reminder, right? It's easy to take a pill or just delete it from memory that those things never happened. But I think that those things are really strong. I think there's strength in it. That's my personal take on it. I know a lot of people don't share the same views, but that's how I feel about it.
So it was
But
more
as
so.
for
Mhm.
to go on,
So it was more so in the memory of it, so that people wouldn't forget, so that it wouldn't repeat itself. Kind of like how you were explaining with the Jewish people, and like they don't let themselves forget, not because they want to sit in the pain, but because to they're trying to prevent a repeat.
prevent it a repeat.
Right.
Although they've taken it to another level now. So I don't know. The Israel has anyway. It's not Jewish people, but Israel has. But I don't know. That's another conversation. But I do think that there's like strength in that stuff. At the time, my parents had a linens company, and I would deliver linens. I didn't realize like how, in my mind, I grew up in Atlanta, and I had a lot of black friends, and this and that doesn't even phase me. I don't even think about it. I really just don't think it. I don't even think about color or anything like that. I just don't. But working with my parents' linens company and delivering linens to like country clubs, like right outside of Atlanta. Everybody's white outside and the whole kitchen is black. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here on a planet? It's just, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it really, it, that shit kind of just jars me. Like, that shit exists kind of, right? And it is glaringly, like, really just piss poor in how they went about their thing or whatever. I don't know what it just, and I'll never delivering like linens on a Christmas morning, thinking that the guy, and literally I'm delivering linens on Christmas fucking morning, some like Christmas Carol shit. I'll never forget what that guy said to me. He's just like, about time, and I was like, I wanted to. I remember to tell my dad, I was like, they don't even see us as humans.
Mm.
Like some of these people here, some people don't see us as human. Like that's just a fact.
Mm.
And ultimately, that's part of like my artwork is to shed light. And I think that with the black rabbit hunting the white rabbit, and I did these monkeys that was against the Iraq War. They're expat monkeys. People were so kind of offended about it too, because it was just. I'll show you sometime, or post them up for you. But I tried it like the minimalism back then when I did all the cute stuff, the Sanrio stuff, like not the Sanrio, but that kind of line of work was more based on that. I wanted to make these really hard topics in such a fucking kitty, in such the dumbest person in the room and the smartest person in the room gets it.
Yeah.
They get it. I hope it makes you feel fucking weird because you should feel weird about it. You
Yeah,
should be fucking weird. You should feel weird about it for even that being weird. It shouldn't be weird, but it's weird to you because you got some shit you got to deal with. You know,
yeah,
that's kind of my old stuff. My old stuff was very, very, yeah, it was very, very kind of controversial to a degree, but it was very, I just felt like it was an important thing to make it a teaching moment, which is, I think that a lot of artists they see things differently, and I think that they can take some of their talents to actually make it a teaching moment for a lot of things, and really get to the core of like, it's like, oh, maybe I really need to reflect on it. Why do I hate this thing so much? I love it when, it's if I hate it and if I love it, that means there's something to it.
yeah. I think
There's something to it.
yeah, and that's I mean, I think that it's good that you even have the bravery to do that because a lot of people who do that kind of work or make those kinds of moves don't get the benefit immediately. Like you're not gonna that person that you're trying to speak to isn't gonna see the piece and then immediately change their ways. They're gonna see it and they'll probably be frustrated. They might say something at you, they might cuss you out or whatever, they'll feel a type of way. And then it's not until they see it over and over again or they think about it weeks and months down the line to where they even start to consider to like soften up on some of these ideals that they have. And so it's like it feels like a thankless job sometimes. And it's not necessarily like it's it's cool that you're seeing that and you're wanting to do that kind of you're you're wanting to make that kind of effect on people and on the world because a lot of people would rather not. Especially
Yeah,
they would take
they'd
that
rather not.
opportunity and just do something that would help make people feel good and instead of like sometimes people just want to give the public what they want instead of what they may need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Like, it is easy to make people feel good about things, but it's sometimes like, the truth is this is the fucking truth. This is the truth. And, we have to be super vigilant and kind of hyper aware of that kind of stuff. It's harder today nowadays because there's so many distractions and, and the news feeds make it so different that it's hard to figure out what is up and what is down. I mean, we're at the point where people are telling us the sky is red basically. And,
Yeah.
and everybody's like that's where we live in now. Like I don't know how you guys are going to deal with this shit. Like it is how do you find your own truth and what is, what real is. But, I'm on the whole thing is like you just treat people with respect and, dignity and stand up for what you believe in and don't get your boundaries crossed out. Right. I like things that I hate because it reminds me of like what I do stand for. I
Mm,
definitely don't stand for that shit.
yeah.
I definitely don't. And so it is kind of a very it's a stark reminder of like these are I think there's too much gray area now. People are on the gray. It's like, I don't want to get involved, or I'd rather be doing this than this. Like it's easy to just check out, which is it's unfortunate, but I think some people should really actually take a deep look into it and kind of go from there.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know if it was you I was talking to about it or if it was somebody else. I was just talking yesterday about how the internet doesn't even feel connected anymore. Like because the algorithms are so strong that like
Yeah.
you see one thing, you click on one video talking about dang, I don't know, painting the inside of a pool or something, and you like that video tomorrow your feed is gonna be full of people painting the insides of pools. And like I remember looking at G's Instagram and it's like it's not even the same app. We don't even see the same things.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, what is this?
it is so manicured to each and one of us to figure us out. Working in tech, man, if I could tell you the information they have on people just because you carry your phone, they got you on lock. They have
Mm,
everybody on lock. They know you or there's a great interview with me with the chief engineer of Amazon, and he's talking about how great we're gonna have a digital tattoo. Like basically the internet's gonna know this is after I went South by Southwest, and I'm just like, you guys are talking, and I have there's an argument. There's somewhere online, but and I was just like, first of all, I think this is bullshit because you're gonna think that I'm this person because I live in this neighborhood, and you're gonna assume that I'm, prone to crime or whatever it is. But let's say I do hold up a convenience store, and then basically, I'm about to pull the trigger, and some girl reminds me of fucking my little sister who died, and another, and I give my life to God and become a pastor. Did you see that shit coming? Even if it was 0.001%, did you see that shit coming?
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? Even though everything says I'm gonna leave this life, right? Everything. I'd rather bet on that 0.001% on me before you make a fucking this is who you are. Granted, people are creatures of habit, but that chance that you are the change, it exists in all of us. Every one of us. Every one of us has that. There's I don't know if you know that punk rock artist Gigi Allen.
I don't.
He's a pretty gross dude. He's a really just a piece of shit person, but he's funny because he would like get naked on a stage, take a shit on stage and throw it at his audience.
What?
Yeah, Gigi Allen. Yeah, look him up.
Oh man.
I find him amazing. So his gravestone, people go to his gravestone and take shits on it. It's pretty fucking vulgar. He's a pretty despicable, pretty gross dude, right? He's super just controversial kind of guy. The reason why I like that guy, the reason why I find him fascinating is that any given chance, all of us have that in us. We're all capable of that shit. It's fucked up to think, but all of us are we could do that any given time. Like, Yoyocam, last night, that motherfucker, like he just threw shit at everybody, right? I was like, Dosa, oh my god, he like that could be any one of us.
Mm,
I like the fact that we have that. Like that's in all of us.
the
That
potential
that that
for that
the
left hook.
potential. That potential. It bets on the fact that we are going to be the herd. But the things that make us human is that there's some outliers that don't do that, that will actually step away. And for whatever reason, I mean, if you want to break this down like computers and all the inputs that we're grown up with, and like, I was raised this way, blah, 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 and that this is my outcome. Yeah. But I think that the human thing, the human spirit is that no, fuck this. I don't need to do that. In fact, it happens every day on this earth all the fucking time that someone's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to change. Like the capacity to change one's life is inherently like that is not a one or a zero. And that's what they're finding with quantum computing too, which I find very fascinating with the whole AI thing too, is just that with the quantum computing that there is no ones and zeros. That they think that the soul is the gray area, is that there's a million decisions that we can do. Like every day is a decision. Every little moment is like a million different ways we can go.
For sure.
1 million different ways we can go. Like it's that part they think is the soul. And I might have to agree with that. I might have to agree that they're finding with all like, quantum computing was like, all this stuff. They're even suspecting that that might be the definition of what a soul is that every day we have all these decisions to make. Every stroke that we make with our artwork, all this stuff, we decide to change it. We try to do something different. That is what makes us not robots or animals or something that's trained. That is that is something inherently that you can't touch. And I think that's, like I said, it's probably the closest thing to magic.
Yeah. It kind of makes me think about the like balance and like the yin yang too, where it's like you can never have all of one. It's always got to be at least a little bit of the other, whether it's all light or it's all dark. There's always like a little bit of one. It's impossible to get 100% of one thing.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be you can get everybody obedient, and there's going to be like that one guy that's
There's
just
only been
like
one guy, the
nah.
one person that's just like, yeah, it's like, oh, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes everything interesting. That's what makes art interesting. That's what makes everything interesting. I like that. I like, my if I had one superpower, everybody asked me, is like, what super, that question everybody asks each other, like, what would it be? I don't want to live forever just because I just want to see what you guys are going to be doing. Like, I'm so
Mm,
fascinated with what culture is going to offer. Like I'm always fascinated what the next is gonna, what you guys are gonna make, or what's beyond that. What's beyond? I'm just like, what is gonna happen? Like, where is it gonna go? Like,
right.
how? decide to wear like orange shoelaces on one foot for whatever reason everybody does. Like what? I don't know. I have no idea. But it's cool to me. It's cool.
Mhm,
Like I love studying those cultures, like the subcultures where everything bubbles up and you see some amazing things. Like I remember seeing Janelle Monáe play at Lenny's with like 10 people there. And that was like another one where you just like, she's gonna blow the fuck up.
mm,
Like I know it. She looks the same as she does now. Like it just she knew what the fuck she wanted, right?
mm.
It's just different. Like there are those that are just that run different, that move, and that they I don't know what awakening they have, but they realize that they just move differently. Some people just, and that self-actualization is a key component of being a great artist, I think. It's one thing to make great pieces, but it's another thing to really like in your heart of hearts dedicate, your life to this craft of creating and inspiring other people.
So do you think with those people that it's something that's just innate, or is it something that can be learned or trained?
It can be something that's learned. It can be so the what's it called? Some of the kids that I've taught, I've mentored or whatever, like Tunde and all this stuff. That gave me so much joy to see him be successful at his stuff. I don't have kids, but I think it's really amazing. Like I think that's the other way to live forever is by teaching. What was the question again? Sorry, I got lost in the sauce.
It's all good. I was just curious as to for the ones who end up being like gems or just really heavy hitters.
Oh, yeah, no, I think sometimes it's kind of sometimes it's like, there are some people that really influenced me, you know what I'm saying? That pushed me in the right direction, that if I didn't have them in my life, that really changed the like the course
Who
of
are
how
those
things are going
people?
to be. Remember what Canna Pace, she Art Institute. That was one of my first typography lessons. I mean, I was like, pretty like, I think I was really fucking uh, super proud and super egotistical when I was a young kid. She put me in my place
Mm,
and gave me the discipline and stuff. But then she's also the one that told me just drop the fuck out too. She's
mm,
like, you're too like, you're because I was crazy about it. I want to learn anything I could. I mean, I was at the lab. I was spending the night at the lab all the time, just working on stuff, just working and working and working. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. Just so she's like, you're beyond most of these people here. Some of the teachers here, you should just leave.
mm.
I left. I just left. She was kind of one of those things that just kind of like put it, but she also taught me the discipline of like, what it took of, and to this day, I teach those lessons like, don't ever look at your keyboard, know all your shortcut commands. Like, I mean, everything stuck with me, right? There's some level of discipline to be a master of your craft, right? Some things that and yeah, there's some outliers that'll do it on their own, but definitely they look up to certain heroes that paved the way for them. That has a template. There's a loose template that you could be learning from someone and being mentored by someone by looking up to certain people and reading everything about them, following their footsteps, and just really just trying to put yourself in their shoes and really adopt that mentality, and then you sinks in, and then it becomes your own. You're not looking at them anymore. You're just doing it when it's just second nature to you. That's when, can it be taught? Yeah. I think it has to be taught. It's, we're a product of and AI learns the same way. We're a product of our environment, and it's what environment you choose to be in.
So,
It's what environment you choose to be in.
mm, so it's more so about shaping your circle or your environment to surround yourself with people who you'd like to one day become like. Is
Yes.
that kind of the I wouldn't say the secret sauce, but more so just
It's
kind of
part of
a
it.
good framework or like the
Yeah.
base?
Yeah, you wanna always hang out with people who are better than you and who will, I've been hanging out with the high contrast thing, I've been so blessed to meet with so many amazing artists that actually elevated my game when it comes just to doing physical artwork again.
Mm,
Um, it's been such a learning lesson for me, like huge, like massively, like Raz, uh, you know, Malden, I mean, Joe, Pato, I mean, you, Calamari, just like seeing how all you guys operate and work. Trudy, Jesus Christ, her work ethic is bananas.
Yeah.
Tiniest girl ever, and she's just fucking just crushing it, right? And she's mastered her medium, and she's getting out her ideas too. Like she's not basically um, she's not dumbing her stuff down. She seems very, very in the game for all the right reasons. Like she loves it. She's betting her life on it. I can tell. And she's also like, and she's telling her a proper story, her story with her
Mhm.
pieces. It's not just making pretty things. It's not just making things for hotels and stuff like that. It's actually her stuff is incredible. Incredible. Like it has a real strong narrative. It is I when she does pieces, you're looking to her soul.
Yeah.
She's showing herself. It is not just I'm making some cool shit. Like right now I'm just doing dragons and monsters and stuff. But yes, I need to get back to making things that that's me and that exposes me, good or bad. I think that, seeing you guys operate reminds me of what I need to be now. I've been more of a technical person. Like I'm trying to get away from that mercenary, and it's hard to unlearn once like I said, you're a wild stallion running around doing whatever the fuck you want to do, and you're doing it well. But then you decide to go to the races, but you realize you're running someone's race, and there's always someone right behind you too that's going to take your place. You will go to the field one day.
Mm.
Someone has your number. Someone has your fucking number.
Mm.
There's always, I mean, 18-year-old me, 20-year-old me kicks my ass every day of the week. 20-year-old me works for Red Bull and crackers and is smart as a whip and doesn't sleep for days. No problems. Like eats that shit for breakfast. Not a problem. Not even phased.
Shrugs it
But
off.
now, yeah, but me now, no, I'm not like that. I am not, I'm not so dialed in as in like learning every fucking tool in the book. It's a different game now. I think, if you do it on your own volition and you can do it well, you can do it. I really, you just got to dedicate everything to it. So yeah, I think it's one of those things. You just got to throw everything you got into it. And yes, I always say first is the worst. You're going to fail. Then people are going to think you're fucking an idiot or they're going to like not get it. But the funny thing is about culture is that they come around. They come
Yeah.
around. People start coming around. They're like, oh, this guy hasn't quit at this thing. And you start to see the beauty in it and you're like, oh, this is actually kind of amazing. I love watching those Animal Planet things, whatever, like, they study ants. There's a guy I follow, Ants Canada. All he does is ants. Fascinating as fuck. Things I stamp out, like, they're in my fucking, studio. I'm like, God damn, but I mean, it's fascinating. You start to see, like, damn, that is fucking crazy. There's like real beauty in that. And, if you can illustrate it and you know it and you can push it out there and that is your drive, yeah, I think, anything can be beautiful.
Mm. So do you have any words on being able to stay consistent even when there's no fruit on the tree yet? Like when you're just throwing stuff into the hole and you're not really getting anything from it. And you're past the first, you're past the second, you're on like 14, people still ain't catching on, and you're running out of gas.
The best is like back in the day when Atlanta had no art scene, I looked at Juxtapoz magazine, High Fructose magazine, and I was so like, man, it's so much better in California, it's so much better in New York, and all this time. At the time, Atlanta wasn't like what it is now. And I really pushed myself to be like the best. Just and when going there, you're like, oh, we have it better here. Like it's so much better here. No one's telling you like a certain style and stuff. But that idea of like what something is and really pushing yourself to the limit was one of the factors that that I had that was like that really pushed me. But then you get to a point where when you work on like your own stuff, like when let's work on video games or film and stuff, it's like I can't wait to go to work. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. We got this plan, and to start seeing it like the start of when you get your this is the probably one job when you get high on your own supply when you're like this is the fucking shit Like you just keep on out, like you're just like, this is, oh my god, well, then we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this, and you start building and building. That's when I think that's when it's really good. When you get, like you said, you get to that yeah moment. You're looking for that yeah. It's like that's what motivates you the most. It's like, how do I make this even better? How do I make this even better? Right?
Mm,
That is, I think that is the ultimate of what really should be pushing you is that you're stoked on your shit that you're like, I can't wait. And like I said, like we both, and I think every artist can agree that you look at something, you're like, damn, that came out of me.
mm,
Like that was that came out of me. That's I don't know. That that feeling is better than anything I can ever. I think that's the best feeling ever. That
mm,
I made that. That is you can't. You couldn't put a price on it.
mm. And I definitely understand because, I've gone through similar situations, in my own works. But I guess my question is for maybe for people who struggle to find that feel, that yeah, or that if they've never had a yeah moment, or if they feel like, I know in today's age with social media and things, they're constantly comparing themselves to people who are just
Oh
dunking on them
yeah,
all day long. And so like
got
how do you find enjoyment in your own work when some people hit the page and all they can think about is all the people on Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and it's just been hooping and they're like, dang, my work looks like none of this.
as you got to be brave.
Mm.
You have to with our critiques, you have to defend your stuff. You have to know that you have to defend your work. You know, I always go to this Reddit thread. It's called Crappy Music, and these people are seeing the work. They're terrible. It's awful. Like to me, it's awful. To me, it's awful, and I am amazed at how brave those people are. Like there's there. I mean, they have to have friends and family. Are just like this is you need. I don't know what you're doing, but it's. I find it fucking brilliant. I find it amazing. I find it amazing that they have that they're like, I'm gonna be my own person. And they
Mm.
go on this, it's like I saw like some sixth grader like rapping like trap music about like, slinging shit. Like, he's like in a suburban neighborhood, like in a soccer outfit. I'm like, who is this kid? Like this kid is
Right.
it is I'm like, I don't know what this kid's on. I don't like, I don't think that, go get him a record deal immediately. But man, it is, I'm amazed at like Doja Cat. She had a song about a cow. A cow.
Yeah.
A cow. A cow. Like that is
And that was the one too. That was
is
the one that hit.
that was the one that was the one that hit. That's the one that it's amazing. It's amazing. And she's a brilliant artist. I love her music. I think she's fucking fire. I really think she's fucking creative as fuck. She
Yeah,
doesn't
for
give a
sure.
fuck. She is at that point where she just keeps on wanting to top herself. Like I think there's like it is hard. I have imposter syndrome all the time. Like I'm not good enough, or it could be better. I'm like, but at the time, like, once you start working, I was like, I was like, this is good, you know? And literally you surround yourself with some good people that'll give you good feedback and really try to make your craft better, right? It is if you don't have that, like you just have to be brave about it. Like it's probably one of the most hard it's hard. It is really hard to be an artist. You have to be brave and you have to stand by your work and you have to know how to explain it. It's one of those things that you just have to I don't know if you get this way, but when I work on something, I really think about like the different things I'm going, I'm saying like, I think about how it applies to my life. If it's a piece that means something or I put something that has some meaning behind it, right? Like the mural I'm doing for Gaja, it's like a Korean mythology piece, but that tiger's smoking and I'll have all the smoke rings going one way, but then it changes the other way. And, in my mind, it wasn't that way in the original drawing. I was like, I'm doing it this way. No one notices it, but I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, it's funny because you think it's going to go one way, but it never goes that way. In fact, it usually will go the opposite way, and you just have to be prepared for it. That's just the way life is. That's the shit I'm putting in my stupid pieces, right? Like I'm not, like I'm thinking about that kind of stuff and how it applies to my life. Like that's my little 2 cents that I know it's in there that I think about, right? Like it's like a last minute change. I was like, I'm going to do it this way. Um, yeah, I put a little bit of me in it, and it's just I it's I went through some hard times recently because I had that lawsuit and I owed like a shitload of money to it was crazy. I went through some really hard times recently, but it is given it's been a crazy journey getting back to me like the stonecutter of just being happy, just drawing, just creating again, right? I think I think about what I was, what I did, and it's kind of way crazy, but what I find makes me those happiest is like me being at a cafe and drawing on a napkin and just making someone like that's I don't know. There's something that I get a lot that you can put a price on it. Like I love it.
Yeah, I'd
Like it.
like to know a little bit more about that darker side. I think that you can enjoy things that are so simple now because of some of the darkness that you've been through. And if there's anything that you can talk about that you feel comfortable with talking about,
Yeah,
I'd like
sure.
to
I don't
know a
mind.
little bit more about the things you went through and how you were able to round them out.
Ooh, it was really rough. I mean, I don't know. I'm still rounding him out at this point in life. Like, just basically, um, yeah, it was just a lot. Like, I went South by Southwest. I mean, I have the award over there. Um,
So what is South by Southwest?
it's the huge South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. That thing that happens every year. All the artists, the movies, and technology, and all those people are there. All the tech people are there too. I made a piece of software. I was mad that working in the industry like as a modeler. So if you notice, like in a lot of the movies and stuff, you can't. So like let's say Starship Enterprise, you can think of that ship, right? Starship Enterprise, but you can't think of any memorable spaceships to this point that anything that really
Mhm.
screams because there was a moment where they're just kit bashing stuff. So basically, they would take like a senior level modeler, get their models. So the studio would take all your models, they own all those models, and they basically give it to a junior artist. It's cheaper, and then hack up your pieces, and make another ship out of it. Right?
Mm. Mhm.
To me, that's kind of plagiarism. You know what I'm saying? It's just like if I was making beats and you took a stem, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You used
Right.
my sample. They don't do that shit with art, right? The music industry has gone so far that that they protect the artist rights, right? They done, the legal system is made that way for musicians. It's not made for creative art, like visual artists. The studios and other companies have curtailed that where they own everything. They want to make sure that you're a hired gun, right? Whatever you make, even though it's a stroke of genius, you might not get that stroke. Sometimes it just hits you, right? Peter David, it was the prime of his life. Like, he made Hulk. Like, that was the prime of his like he fucking made some amazing fucking shit. So I wanted to protect 3D artists. So basically what I was doing, speaking of Vertex, is so if you have a 3D model and like, polygon number 853, what I would so each polygon has two sides. There's normals. One is facing up and one's facing down. I would put my initials or like a certain code on a certain model, so I know that like that's my fucking model. No, it's not. I know it's that model. Look up that polygon right there. That's my if you wouldn't even know it was there. That's why I said that vertex in a million miles away. You wouldn't even know that's in that fucking file. You fucking I would catch them. That's what's it called? That's what's it called? I think the blockchain was kind of getting big. That kind of thing. So we use the 256 AES bit encryption to encrypt the 3D pieces so that if any three, so I had a instructor one time, he was working on a Marvel thing. I can't talk about it. But anyways, he lost the asset. It was on a flash drive. Big Marvel asset,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
If anybody got that and just had that flash drive, they could 3D print it or sell. You know what I'm saying? They would have that amazing before the movie even came out.
Right.
That's a terrible fucking thing. It
Right.
so what kills me is that in 3D, you have to learn all this shit to be an organics model. You know anatomy. If you're doing hard surface, you know all these machine parts. You have to know so much shit to do 3D, right? To
Right.
render stuff, lighting, bounce lighting, photons. I mean, so much crazy compositing, like all the different passes. It's You're fucking telling me my shit can just be ripped, stolen, 3D print everywhere that's done. No one knows anything. That's just what it is. I dedicated my whole life to this craft, and that's my shit is basically just ones and zeros to just Joe Schmo. That's crazy.
Mm.
But yet the music, so basically I had made software that basically was tagging everything. So if anybody opened up my 3D model, it doesn't even matter if it was like little Susie and it was her first like Blender like model and she made a fucking donut, but her donut was different than everybody else's donut. It would tag it. So Pixar basically was just like, I love little Susie's fucking donut, and they put in that's little Susie's donut. I can prove it. In fact, the software made it where you could it would give you the IP address of someone who opened it.
Mm.
So it would track whoever opened it. In fact, we wanted to make it so good, it was possible to actually shut down the 3D printer that was trying to print your thing. If they're trying to
Wow.
print it, that's what it was. I made it for artists, but then my partners they sent me on vacation and then they forged my name and then they basically stole my property. They stole my shit, moved to Denver, and I had it for 8 years. It was a federal court case. And they sold it to some people, and now it's part of Digital Strand, and I've shared. I don't know what's happening with it now. It's crazy. So it's all about artist rights. It really killed me that 3D artists pay out the nose to learn this thing and they can't protect it. They
Mm.
can't protect it. And in fact, it is technically possible even before AI got on the scene and the way it rips things from like ArtStation or whatever from the internet or your style, eventually if it's fed all of it as a popular style. I think there are hallmarks to your style. There's ratios that you place on certain characters and stuff like this that make it contingent to I think all styles can be broken down mathematically, and it is. I believe that's patentable. I believe you can make a copyright on that, on that signature style.
Yeah, just like
You know,
cartoons and stuff do, right?
yes, you can make a copyright not on the cartoon itself, but the style,
Right.
a particular style. I think that I'm not looking. It's not about a money thing. I think some of the copyright laws and IP laws need to change a little bit, but I think that the problem is that it's not the recognition, not necessarily money, right? So what? You download the Hulkbuster armor on fucking any Etsy site so you can 3D print it, right? The Iron Man Hulkbuster, you fucking print a fucking device, doesn't fucking matter. No one knows who sculpted it.
Mm.
At least, at least put the fucking name up. At least you should know who fucking made it. We have brilliance being dominated by capitalists. We have a culture that doesn't celebrate those who create it. And they made
Mm.
it that way because we have too much power. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the power is with the artist. It really fucking is because you don't have shit. The fact that Transformers comes out and Mark Wahlberg gets paid like 20 million fucking dollars for a stupid fucking movie. No one went to go see Mark Wahlberg for that fucking movie.
They went to
No
see
one.
they just went to see the robots.
They went to see the fucking robots. In fact, Digital Man went fucking bankrupt. They went bankrupt. They were so I can't tell you. Life of Pi won the Oscar for VFX. Those motherfuckers, my friends who work there, they weren't paid for like 2 months. They went
Mm.
bankrupt. They went bankrupt because the studios own all the shit. They don't give it up to it is next to impossible because they pit everybody against each other and they don't there's no VFX union either, which is even crazier. There's no union for that shit. I tried to everybody's like, can't. And now all that shit is shipped overseas now. It's just bananas. It's just because like you said, they're just like, just pay me, dog. And it's like, no, you don't realize like you're making something out of nothing, bro. Like we're in the camp of making something out of nothing. That's who we are.
Yeah.
It is not about that paycheck. The paycheck will come. Artists music has had it where they will those the legal system has set it up where they will go after you. Marvin Gaye has made so much fucking money. His estate has made so much money. They were for just everything's made in A minor or whatever, whatever that fucking the what's it called, the key that all pop songs are made. I mean, they they sue Ed Sheeran, they sue everybody, right? For this one snippet of certain songs and stuff. I'm not even asking for that. I'm asking for like Jesus Christ, at least put up the goddamn fucking names.
Right. Because then that ultimately the money that you might get off of said project, that's gonna get spent. Or any type of little benefit, any material benefit you're gonna get off of a project will be, will be consumed. But it's really that people know who made what that's
Who made
going to
what? Or even
it's
like,
gonna
but even
last.
taking care of those art, even like, if there was like a contingency plan to take care of those artists, like Peter David died penniless.
Yeah.
Paul Komoda is one of the most phenomenal artists out there, and he's just like, for a second, he was sucking wind.
Mhm.
I don't think it's right. I
Yeah.
just that is I don't think I'm the smartest person, but I'm not stupid, and I know how much energy it takes to make something good that's original,
Yeah.
that's fresh. It takes a lot of energy and can't systematically write them out like that.
Mhm.
You can't. This is not like I'm screwing this one thing on this one part on this. No, I'm making something out of nothing. That is a that is a very particular type of person. That is a very it is not something that, like, you can go to med school, yeah, you can be a genius surgeon, but you can just go and not be a genius surgeon and make fucking okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's a skill.
Right.
I think that when it comes to art stuff, like, there needs to be a higher premium on it, and I think that, we have been dumbed down by people that were just like, "I'll do it for this," and, because they people put a very high regard on it, but really, you're nothing without us. It's elitist a little bit, but yes, I really believe that, you know, the biggest swindle ever is visual artists. I think that is the biggest, you know, people are just like, "Oh, that just took you long, a short time to draw that out." I was like, it took me like fucking 10 years to get to that point where I could do that. What
Right.
you're paying for is the 10 years that what took me 5 minutes, what you're paying for is the 10 years that I fucking dedicated my fucking life to this craft.
Yep.
That's what you're paying for. Don't get it twisted. It is not a 5-minute thing. You show me someone else who could do the same thing.
Yep. Because if it was that easy, they wouldn't be knocking on our door for it. They'd just be doing it themselves.
Agreed.
Mhm.
It's travesty. I think other cultures put a high grade on it, but in America, the Western world, they've learned how to dumb it down for a lot of artists and stuff. And the thing is, we are amazed by, like, when the they do create some amazing work, like, Into the Spider-Verse. I love that movie. I fucking love it. It's fucking amazing, right? It's everything I could ever want in it. Like, I love the style. I love everything about it. So sick. I get it. I get it because we're so in love with the work. I want to be a part of that. Like, I am so in love with it. I get it. I totally don't hate on anybody that, that goes down that path and wants to learn it all. But at the end of the day, I just think that a lot of the artists are not being protected and they're being exploited. And, and in this culture, I think a lot of artists are complacent with it and okay with that. And
Mhm.
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It is hard to make a living as an artist. It really is. I think there needs to be a shift. There was a moment where that shit was celebrated, and now it's not. It is celebrated, but for their benefits. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel about it. As for all that stuff, yes. There's some really my partners. They're in what's it called? They're in uh, data forensics and stuff. They work for some government stuff, things like that. So we got the 256 AES-bit encryption that would actually tie your 3D model to your IP address and some of the metrics that you put in, your name or something like that, and it gives you a key if everybody tries to open it, basically. So it was there to protect. But now a different firm owns it. Digital Strand owns it. I have shares in it. So what they decide to do with it, I don't know. It's made for off drilling, so it's more than just 3D assets. So basically, by encrypting a lot of files for that stuff. But now that quantum computing and AI is here, and AI is now busting out 3D models, I have another patent that's in the works about ratios and about like I was studying like different like how do you break down styles with ratios and stuff. When you do your characters yo-yo, there's a certain ratio that makes your characters unique to yourself, right? You don't There's certain things like how far you place the eyes apart or the mouth are done this way and things like this. All these components make and however you walk through life to come or whatever media you put in your head and all the things that you've seen and you're gravitating to ends up building this framework of like how you spit out your images. And I think somehow that is you can put a stamp on it. And that I think you could probably stop AI with it too. And saying that's you're straight up stealing from Yo-Yo.
Hmm. Interesting. That
Like
sounds
you can
hmm.
and I think that, it comes through legislation, right? The other reason I made that thing was to stop 3D printed guns. Some of my friends will hate this because I think they like making 3D printed guns, which it's cool. And I'm not hating on people who like guns. I'm not the biggest super gun advocate or anything, but I do think that people who are printing ghost guns and stuff need to be registered to a degree. I don't think that you should be making death machines all willy nilly. You
Right.
know, I don't know when it happened, but when I was a kid, I used to scan $20 bills and print them on my inkjet printer and then counterfeit bills all day long, right? I don't know when Photoshop, Epson, HP, all the Canon, they all got together early 2000s and you can't scan in any kind of dollar bill, any kind of currency. You can't use it on any photo editing software. You can't print out any of that shit. I don't know when that happened, right? It's in the BIOS, it's in the hardware itself or, the software that runs the hardware and all that stuff.
Mhm.
It is technically possible for all 3D printers by law that if it will recognize certain gun parts and says, and you just automatically go to registry and it's like, by the way, we know you're printing this.
Mm.
We
Interesting.
just know who you are.
Oof. Ugh. That's crazy.
It is possible. That is a
Mm.
possibility. That is a good way to stop that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I think that there needs to be some kind of regulation or some kind of it needs to like you can't just be 3D printing guns and just be like, let me blow some motherfuckers away. I've seen them. Like I downloaded like 257 guns like in a day, from all the different sites. Just need to buy a
Mhm.
couple pieces and you can just start making guns, and the plastics are getting so good that, they're all
It's like durable
thermaled out.
enough.
Like I mean, they can stand all this pressure and heat that, you can, I mean, it's getting intense out there. Like people don't realize like what's really out there. I'm not saying that's a great thing, but I think that it's something that needs to be called out.
Yeah, it should be regulated. Definitely.
It should be regular. I'm not asking you not to do it. I'm just saying we should just so you know what I'm saying? It needs to be regulated.
Yeah. You
There's
don't
certain
just
things but the
mm,
problem is that the tech industry controls the government now. Like they control the government. There's I mean, in my lifetime, this is before your lifetime, AT&T was the biggest conglomerate for media communications. They owned all the phone lines, everything. They got broken up to MCI to everything else. I don't know why Google's not broken up, and I don't know why Facebook's not broken up. Like I don't know why all these things with so much control is not because all the lobbyists have controlled and seized power there. And it's really unfortunate. It's an unfortunate state of affairs that we live in the most ultra capitalist. You guys live in the most ultra capitalistic society now, and I don't know how it's going to pan out because it's going to be have and have nots, and the haves have way too much.
You know what I'm hoping for? I talk with G about this all the time, and what what we talk about is kind of what we discussed a little earlier about like the 0.001%. You know, when like you can't have too much of one, and then over time the pendulum will swing only so far towards one direction. It has to start going back the other way. It's just like how it's just how life is. It's just how life works. Now, how and when and why, don't know. But hoping that, it just will not become absolute. Like there has to be like those
It can be
outliers.
absolute. Absolute is not possible. It's just not, it's so crazy to me. I mean, I'll go to a Trump rally just to see how they think and just kind of, I went to the Redneck Brawl up in Rome, Georgia. I bought the tickets when I saw the YouTube thing, and not the Instagram thing, and it's like Georgia versus Alabama. I was like 10 feet away from Marjorie Taylor Greene. I got ringside seats. It was a pay per view. I was fucking up their optics because I was wearing like my shades and like looked like I don't know. I was the only Asian person there. It was really funny. And there was like, they're doing paper. They're trying to cut me out of the shots. I was just kind of just being funny. But after talking to them, I get it. They're scared. They're fucking scared. I get it. I get why the world is like, they want it back to what it was. They want it back to when they felt like, everything was their world is changing. The world is changing. And we can't go backwards now, but they want it to go backwards. And it's just not, it's that the world's gonna leave us behind. And and it's really unfortunate. They're not they're just fucking freaked the fuck out. They're just scared and very being cowardly about it and taking out their frustrations on the lowest common denominator, things they don't understand. Yeah, it's just unbelievable how they just made we have big problems and trans is like on an agenda. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. Just go away. It's so ridiculous. It's so really that's raining on your parade that you want to destroy the country over. That's so bananas to me. And that if you haven't noticed, like all your products and all the media that you get, like this is a global world. Like, we're influenced by so many different cultures and so many different things, and it's awesome. Like it's awesome. There's like countries are, like I mean, you would never ever see like such a mixed, diverse group of people that can work on things and get along and like really learn from each other. America's amazing. I fucking love it here. Like I love the people here, but I just think that we're just in such a bad state of affairs that it's unfortunate. Um, you know, yeah, I don't know where it's all going. It is really easy to get caught up. I try not to watch any of the news now anymore. I'm just really trying to cut myself off and just work on me and try to watch good movies all the time. Just trying to remember what the qualities I stand for. But it's easy, like you said, the algorithms are there to make you mad or upset and stuff like this because it warrants a reaction.
Sure.
And that reaction is something I just don't want to give anymore. Yeah, it's mind numbing.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing. Like it's either too much of a reaction or none at all, and neither is healthy. Which
Yeah,
sucks.
it's not even a healthy discussion about anything. It's just crazy rhetoric. I don't even think there's news. There's all opinionated news, which is crazy to me. I'm just like, just give me the facts.
Yeah.
Just give me the facts and let me decide. But it is but the facts are just being changed or manipulated. And I realize data is everything. And they're farming it like crazy now. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I saw a lot of things, from the tech, I saw under the hood from a lot of different positions and a lot of different things. And it's really I do feel like Silicon Valley doesn't see people as people. I really believe that in my heart. I really feel as if like we are just um people are just cattle. Like they really feel this way because to them it's just a bunch of we're just files,
Mm, yeah.
you know. We're just files. That's all it is. It's just reams and reams of data and just files and files and files and and anything that's a tall flower, the tall flower gets cut. They will find you and they'll cut you down as soon as possible.
Mm. Keep
The
everything weak
outliers.
for.
Yeah, the
Mm,
outliers, the ones that are like cause a problem, they will try to cut it down as soon as possible. They are desperately trying. We'll see how it all pans out in the end, but it should be interesting.
mm,
Um, but in the same focus of vein of things, I think it's like important as artists to say things like Like, you should be aware. I think things should be aware, and we are. I love looking at like the anti-protest stuff, the posters and stuff like during like like the French Revolution or like the art from there, like Massat, uh, in the bathtub. Oh, I forget who did that piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. But like and also like the propaganda that's out there and stuff like this, and how powerful the medium of art is. It's really it's profound. It is very profound. And I think that, we're so used to eating McDonald's now that it's like Starbucks. The reason Starbucks is so popular, they own almost all the coffee beans in the world. And to get that coffee taste, that uniform taste in all the Starbucks, they burn all the beans. So the burnt taste coffee is the standard now.
Mm,
That's the standard of coffee because they have to make it exactly like the one in Seoul, Korea has to taste like the one in fucking London and the one that tastes in New York and the one in Atlanta. They all have to taste the same. So they burn the shit out of those beans. And that is our standard of coffee now.
mm,
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
yeah. Mm,
There's no Ethiopian coffee, Colombian brew. Like you see it once in a while because it had to stay, but like but all the other types of coffee, Sumatra, all those things, gone. There's pockets, you'll find some places that will have it, but the standard, the universal standard of coffee is that. And it is because one thing owns it, a corporation owns it. And it's really, this is the status quo. It's kind of crazy. It's kind
yeah.
of crazy.
You have to kind of you have to go out of your way a lot more to find uniqueness in something like coffee too, just because of like the big corporation kind of trying to monopolize it all or try to make it all uniform.
Yeah. That was the game I was trying to make, the apparatus game. So this logo on my hat was like basically a long time ago, I had done characters of people, and this is like 4 year time, but I made characters of everybody in Atlanta. And even like the radio station, like V wanted, they wanted the characters done of them and stuff. I was like, nope, because I didn't know you. And it was like these underground kids that were just kind of like moving culture. And every time I traveled to different places, I would run into the same people. I was like, oh, that guy reminds me of Dax, or that guy reminds me of this person. You know what I'm saying? You see the same types, right? And I call
Right.
them the A100. So it was like this game that you had to go find them. And literally, it would be like 5 venues, and you had to go geolocation and find these real people. Not really, they're like their avatars would be there. And then basically you would discover it. And yeah, it's cool. It was like a cool little game I was working on. I think I'm going to do it again. And it was going to feature all the different metropolitan areas in the world, kind of thing. So it was going to be really, really cool. So that was a little thing I was kind of working on, but it was a long time ago. So we'll see.
Mm,
I'll show it to you sometime though. I'll show you the what's called. I'll probably send you the file and see what you think of it. But it's pretty cool.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's super super cool.
So,
It is. It
okay.
is.
Hmm?
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was curious as to with you saying that with all the people with you making the game and making the characters about people and all the capturing like the scene of the people kind of underground or kind of coming up in the city made me think a lot about kind of what you're doing now with high contrast, and it just made me a little it made me curious about how you started it or maybe why more so you
I was
started it.
bored. I was okay. So what I do miss about LA though, there's some things I do miss about LA is that because it's so like the industry is so hardcore and it's very competitive, they had a lot of workshops for like a lot of artists to get together and share ideas and stuff, like in the industry, in the concept art and like animators and stuff like this. They all got together all the time, and
Mhm.
I really like that sense of community that they had over there, and they're always trading stuff, right? I was going like through dark. I just got my first studio and just trying to get it all together. It's where we first met up, and then at the arts industry, I was like, well, I'm just gonna make a drawing group, because I didn't know what the lay of the land since moving back to Atlanta and just kind of like getting back in the art scene. I didn't know it, so I saw it was an easy way, but it was the easy way just to, and it was just me really in the beginning. One guy named Emer showed up, and then before you know it, Raz, and then Malden, and then more and more started coming up, and then it turned to a thing. And then we did a tarot card show, and then one thing led to another. I was like, let's just keep doing things, and it was just kind of fun. And it's just kind of blew up. There are moments where I feel like, oh, I got to set this up every week, but to be quite honest, I feel like it's kept my sanity because it's just been a really good place for creative people with no egos. Doesn't matter how where you are on the list, if you're like, a super big time artist or whatever, or you're just starting out. That is the whole thing of just getting together and just making stuff, right? And just because it's like I said, like being an artist, it can be lonely. It can be very, very frustrating when you're by yourself, just making. You're just, yeah. I don't know what's up from down. I don't know what I need to do. I don't know how to make this, or if it just had just one person to show you, and before you know it, that network is being built, and it's built off of like proper respect and just making things correct. So yeah, it's grown to this thing, and we've done some amazing things. So it's been a lot of fun. I really am pretty blessed at all the people I've met. I've met so many, like, I didn't know them last year, and now they're like some of my best friends. Like, we talk to each other on a daily basis now, right? I didn't know the Lotus Eaters. Now I totally say I'm friends with them. Like, they're super funny dudes and girls
Yeah.
and all of everybody. Leia, fucking love her to pieces. Like, there's a lot of people I didn't know, and then now that I know them, it's just been. I feel like I'm pretty blessed about that. It's pretty awesome. I
Absolutely.
feel, it's super fucking cool, and I got to meet you and all. Like, yeah, it's been great. It's been fucking fantastic. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
As for I'm probably gonna take a break from it, but I think most like Raz and Pato are like. Pato's been amazing, but kind of like take the reins for a minute, and I'm just gonna work on my own stuff for a minute, and then try to reconfigure like what direction I need to go to. But I do think it's a good thing for the community, and it's a good just I think it's just needed. I think it didn't have like we're making money off of people. We're not like, it's not anything like that. It comes in a really genuine space where creators can just meet up and just physically and just kind of just draw some shit.
Absolutely. It was most definitely needed, and I think that the consistency is the coolest and the most admirable part of it because you'll see people make cool stuff like this, but it'll be one time or it'll be like
Yeah.
every couple of months or something. And
Right.
then they're always trying to one up it and make it bigger and bigger. And then before you know it, they got tickets and all that. And now it's a bartender and it's all this stuff. Now you're spending money and but it's none of that. It's just it stayed very, very simple and very real and very consistent where you can count on
Yeah,
Tuesday
that's
night, this is
happening.
going
Yeah.
on, you
Yes. Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we make it a point to like we just yeah, I haven't missed one. So it kind of it is there are moments where like I have things to do, but I'm like, no, no. And I'm there, I'm like, I fucking glad I did it. Because it's just fun just to hang out, to see what's out there. And all the new people that come through all the time, I fucking love it. Like, yeah, it's just super cool to see. And I've seen some artists that just blow the fuck up. Like, I'm like, oh wow. And it gave them the right directions and the right what's it called? The right energy to continue their path, right? And they've made more friends and more contacts, and just kind of like it's a great launch pad for a lot of people, and it's a good it's almost like church.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a community thing that we're interested in the same, we have like-minded interests and stuff, and it's also a good way to like open your horizons, or like artists that you're not very familiar with. And it's just, yeah, it's been really good. It's been really healthy for me, so I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I love that it's open to everyone because it gives newer creatives the chance to sit shoulder to shoulder with people who have been in the game for a long time. And that exchange of information can be nice on both sides. Like the new person can learn the skills and the experience, and then the experienced person can learn all the fresh new ideas and just new things that
Yes,
they may have fallen out of. And so
you're right.
it's just it's a great thing that's happening each time. And man, it's and then on top of that, artists, I feel, especially when you're coming up, you need community. And it doesn't necessarily have to be physical, but you need some kind of something, a group of people that can kind of help feed off of, you guys can feed off of each other, inspire each other, push each other, sharpen each other. Um, and I think that's what that group does every week, you know?
Yeah, we had that a long time ago. So I used to have a house in Candler Park, and Sam Parker, Dan May, Sean Thurston, they were like really big artists at the time. We used to have a weekly painting group. So
Mhm,
that's how I started back in the day. Sons of the South. So basically we would actually just get up every week and just paint, listen to
mhm,
music, drink beers, and just kind of just chill out.
mhm,
And this is a lot bigger than that though. It's open to everybody. That was like kind of like a little smaller drawing group we had. Um, Renee Aragata, Bethany Marchman, Stephen Dixie. There's a whole bunch of them. A lot of them ended up doing some bigger things. Um, oh my gosh, there's one that works at I can't believe the far he works at Adult Swim. He's like an art director there. He usually comes like we did some really cool shit. But that little small group like ended up doing like a lot of other big things later on, and I think that it's really impactful. You know, we almost took over a TV station. We almost took over the public access TV station one year. It was funny. Like we were doing all sorts of crazy shit. But that that community gives rise to so many more creative endeavors when it's not burdened by how to make money off my friends.
yeah, yeah, so real.
Yeah,
Because then
I
that's
think
not
that there's
even
a
like
very
a deciding factor in the creative process. Because that messes up your design process. Because you're trying to factor that in.
well, now it's a competitive thing.
Yeah,
You brought in a competitive element into it. When it's about money and stuff like this. Now it's a different beast. It's not like I'll say it's good or bad. You need money to survive. I get it and stuff like this, but ultimately, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure you would, even if there was no, you would continue to draw. You would continue to
absolutely.
create. And I'm pretty sure like you would never stop that process. And I think that just the base needs to be direct and just and pure, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Mm. Why'd you decide to name it High Contrast?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I thought it sounded cool. I just thought it sounded cool. I just thought it
Yeah,
was just like I like every time I'm like doing like my comps and stuff. I was like, oh, I like my things like a little more. I like that range. So I always feel like great paintings and great pieces also have a huge range. Like they go from like the lights of lights and the darkest of darks, right?
absolutely.
Everything
Yeah,
in between, and the change, like when you can change, a highlight to a shadow like really quickly. I think that those are really good pieces. I'm not shy. I don't think about some of my stuff. So I think that it's just yeah, high content. It's like a good art term too. It just sounded cool as shit. I was like,
it
sounds cool as
does.
shit to me.
It is a cool name. I was wondering if there was any like lore behind it, but it does. Like it's cool. It's very
Yeah, I was just
cool.
like, like Vertex is a good one too. I was like, Vertex is good. Like, there's some things like, oh, High Contrast is a fucking cool thing. I was a drum and bass DJ too. I think there's an artist named High Contrast. I always thought that was cool too. I was like, that's a cool fucking name. But
Yeah,
High Contrast that came out like, um, yeah, I think I'm a big so when I do teach design and stuff, I always say that black and white is like the basis of all good design. If you can make things look good in black and white, you can make things good in anything.
yeah, absolutely.
If you know values, if you can if you can go back and forth between those two, you can color and all that stuff.
That's just extra.
That's just extra. That's the extra points. But if you know how to use values, then you're well on your way of like making great pieces.
Mm, yeah,
So yeah,
there's
that's about it.
so with high contrast, then, or actually, I want to rephrase that question. So I know that I know that you're over high contrast. You started it and you do so much for it, but I'm more curious as to what you are trying to do and like what are you looking to accomplish in the near future? And you were even saying that you were going to pass the reins over just temporarily or something to give yourself a little more time to focus. And so what are you hoping to make nowadays?
I think I got some shit to do. I think I have some shit off my chest I need to get off. I think also working, utilize my 3D skills. I had an aversion to it. I think I had like a weird I think I got really depressed about after the lawsuit and 3D stuff, and really I just said no to 3D for a minute, but I'm getting back into it because um I want to make toys.
Mm,
I want to make affordable things that, of artists that I like, and really start getting into toys or like collectible things, stuff like that. Cause I want to pull like, I love toys. I just like want to see that shit but also make an affordable thing that, it's like one thing to buy a print, but I want toys of all my friends' stuff, right? I would love to have a Yoyocam figurine. I would love that shit. That would make me so happy. It'd be fucking sick.
yeah, I
It'd be
definitely
sick
wanna
as
make
fuck.
something like that too. Like, I think we spoke
Yeah,
about it briefly one day. We talked about doing
yeah,
something like that.
I would love to design one of your toys. It'd be fun. And I think that it's like, and I want to really like I've been talking to other people like making blind boxes and just like featuring like one particular artist, like, for a year, maybe two in a year if we can get to that point, but really just really pushing those kinds of things. And like watching like Pop Mart and its rise and all this shit, but really start building things in the vein of that kind of vibe, right? Because I think that artwork is, like I said, it needs to be affordable, but
Yeah,
it needs to have the high like like, when I do buy a print, I'm always telling myself that I know that there's original out there. I want the original, right? Oh, oh, it's crazy. I don't know if I'm going to get the original, but with a toy, it's like I know they're limited edition. A lot of work goes into it, all that stuff. Like I like that stupid shit, but I love that stuff and I love toys. I really do. Big toy collector. So I think, I have some designs I'm sitting on and would like to actually start to work with other artists and also make my own line and just um, start building toys. Like I think that is they make me happy. I mean, every time I go to a fucking Target or a Walmart, I go to the toy section first just to see what they have. I collect Transformers. I go that's the first place I go to. I was just like I am, it's my first and true love. I like that shit. And yeah, I want that. Um I I like yearbooks. I like to see like what it was. I like that style,
what it was
right? I
like
like
in the
what it was
time.
like in that time.
Mm,
Some things are timeless, and I love that shit. I love yearbooks. I'm a big fan of that stuff.
interesting.
So yeah.
Man, I'm really hoping that these things come up too. I'm excited to see what you create because I'm sure like, whatever it is it's gonna be
Yeah,
just
I would love to work like, if you
amazing.
wanna do I know you wanna do games and stuff. I mean, I'm so used to do all that stuff too, but we need to probably get together, but I personally think that we need to work on stuff that gets a broader audience. It is one thing to be very microcosm in this Atlanta scene that's super saturated with so much like we're competing amongst ourselves with all our friends and stuff. There needs to be a bigger market. And I think that personally, I think we're going about it the wrong way, is how I feel. And I think that we need to spread our nets a little bit bigger and wider. And I
Mm,
personally think that toys is a very good medium because you can put them in boxes, you ship them out, and that's it, right?
for sure.
A print is very thin, you don't know, blah blah blah. But I think a toy is like a perfect medium. A video game is also a good medium to get culture out there too. I think podcasts too, but things that things that can actually make money for artists so they can sustain themselves.
For sure. Good, like just
It's one
tangible
thing,
goods too are
and
important.
that's residual. Like so you make this toy, and then basically Kozik died. He did Kid Robot. He was the art director for Kid Robot. We became friends during COVID, and then he passed away, unfortunately. But he did rock posters, but he wanted to get into toy, and it helps. So I'm starting to do my research on manufacturers and stuff, and trying to get that together. But I want to make a line of I want to make a feature a line of like, designer stuff that, starting with Atlanta first and some of my favorite artists, and then start to build a really nice, fearsome collection that, that people would like, that would spread the name and make it go further. I think it'd be super powerful and super good. So that's what I would like to do.
Mm. Definitely am super down to help out with that and just on some other projects. I feel like every time we talk, we end up talking about something that we can work on together that would be like a fun idea. So
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Okay.
Well, we got a podcast now. Now we have a podcast in our belt, so I'm super down. Like, this is such
Yeah,
a good conversation. I fucking love it. I fucking love the fact that you're doing this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
yeah,
Like, you're really taking it seriously. You're doing it well, and you're a fucking awesome, swell guy. But yeah, I think yeah, more of this kind of stuff. Like, and really make that new lane. I think there's a lane. I really think there's a lane. There's a lot of holes here that could be done better, and and really just up the game a lot more than what it is, and make something that's a little more sustainable for people. That it's important that that some artists learn how to make money in their sleep. That you wake
yeah,
up, oh, I made these sales. That's how it
yeah.
should be.
Need that. Definitely
Need
need
that.
that.
Need to
'Cause
make money, because the amount of mental energy that goes into one piece, planning this, that, the vision, the idea, all that stuff. Man, it is, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of energy that goes, and it's a lot of things that you have to pull together to make that happen. I think
Mhm.
there are a few artists that really take it very seriously, and that need to be upgraded, and done in a different way. We're not like, we fall in the category that we're into pop culture. We like video games, we like movies, we like, all this stuff. Some call it lowbrow stuff like this, but it is an art form. And I think, because of that, we have access to a lot of things that our medium is definitely open to, like video games, toys, and that we should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
We shouldn't
Hey,
limit ourselves just to a canvas and a wall. It seems kind of lame.
it it's one of those things that I have just recently gotten. It was whenever I did this. Whenever I participated in this, it really opened my eyes up to like, yo, this was an idea 4 months ago, and now it's in my hand.
My hand.
And it's like that can the fact that we can make something out of nothing, we can make anything out of nothing,
I mean,
like
anything, anything.
we
I mean,
can
I have,
literally
yeah,
make anything.
there's an old comic book that came out in 2000 with this. It's like a comic book, and it's all about Atlanta and stuff, and my adventures or stuff, things like that. It's out. It was selling on Amazon. I don't know who's selling it. It's so weird. And then they took it down. I think I put a cease and desist on it, but it was really funny. But yeah, you can do it. It's totally
Yeah.
possible. And you're doing it. Like, you're doing it. I'm very impressed. Like, I'm super happy that you're doing it. It's just awesome to see that that it's alive and kicking, and that, like, I've made so many zines that have gone nowhere, just, whatever, and putting on cars and all sorts of crazy shit. And yeah, some of them go nowhere, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Well, they see the big wins. No one sees all the little stupid things that we do.
But you
That
still
we,
need
just,
those,
you
like
need those. That's how you do it.
mhm.
That's how you do it. You got to be brave and just do it. Just be like, fuck it.
Yeah. I definitely have some ideas that I want to bring to your attention too. I'll just talk to you about it afterwards or something. Because I've had like some ideas and I'm like, I bet Dosa would want to be a part of this. So I wonder if he
I
would be
would
able to
want
help.
to. Yes, I know you're into some cool shit. I know you're into cool shit. So I know, and I love your shit. Like, you're fantastic, man. I love your artwork. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, that shit's fire. That shit is so good. That shit is so
man.
good. Your shit is fucking fire. I'm a fan. I'm a mega fan. So
Yeah,
yeah,
man. Thank
I
you.
mean,
It's mutual.
yeah, it's super super cool. But yeah, if you ever want to work on something, just let me know, because yeah, I would love to just like encapsulate your style and make it to another level. Like, your shit is super super original.
Mhm.
To me, it's very original. I think it's very very original, and it's dope.
Cool, man. Yeah, definitely will
Yo,
be definitely will be in touch for sure. But thank you so much for this conversation, man. Like
no problem. Thanks for having me.
this was very, very informative and inspiring. And it's helped me look at my creative practice uh differently in the sense of wanting to do something that stays around and wanting to do something that helps uplift and protect the people around me too. And it helps me take the power that I have more seriously. Like I know that I can create things on paper or just on anything, but really seeing that as the power that it is. I can see the passion in your voice when you spoke about it, and it really resonated with me. It's like it really is a superpower that not many people get to have, and so it should be taken as seriously as that too. And I appreciate everything that you do with high contrast and like being able to
Oh
bring all these
man,
people together. It's just it's incredible, and like I just appreciate what you're doing. Wanted to give you some flowers real quick, you know.
oh man, you're about to make me cry, make me blush. Bro, you're like, no, what you're doing is great too. Your whole camp is great. Like, I think it's awesome. But I really do think that, like, just gotta keep pushing each other for, and getting high on our own supply. Like, yo, we gotta do this next. Like, let's try this out. Let's try this out. And it's just super, super fun.
Mhm.
Some things will hit, some things won't. But just keep going, and ultimately, you'll break through. You will. There's a art piece I did a long time ago. I'll send it to you later. But it's how I generally feel about things. You'll love it. I'll send to you later, but it's cool.
For sure. Yeah, man.
Uh,
Well,
yeah, it's about meeting other creatives, so it's good. So yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Yo-Yo.
absolutely. So I would before we end it, I would like to give you the opportunity to give a proper outro to see where people can find you and support you, as well as I would like to get your recommendations on who you would like to see on this podcast. Now that you've had a conversation and you can see the places that we go conversationally, who you would like
Yeah.
to have on as a guest too.
Oh, Michael Malden, hands down. I'm concentrating on him this year. Like, I want him to get everything that he deserves. He's one of the hardest working artists in Atlanta, and I think that his legacy is bigger than most people really realize. And I think that he's way more than overdue to, like, get some kind of shine on him and getting that kind of respect. As for finding me, just go to Hard Contrast. That makes me more happier than anything. Just to, be part of the community and just getting involved. And whatever it is, like later on when I start working on my solo stuff, I'll put out the back call. But right now I'm just kind of just flowing through life and just kind of just soaking it all in and just meeting cool people like yourself and just doing my thing.
Man, that's great. I'm gonna put high contrast in the chat so people can know. And high contrast ATL, right?
Yep,
Cool. But yeah, man, this was great. Thank you so much.
I got you. I got you, man. Whatever. Just hit me up. Hit me up, and let's link up outside of this too. Let's not just make it a formal thing. Let's start being friends.
For
So let's
sure.
make some shit. Let's make some crazy shit. I'll show you what's under the hood of what we're working on. So yeah, it'd be fun. You'll
Oh
like it.
yeah. Yeah, super down. Absolutely.
L- Let's go.
Well, all right, man. I will catch you later. You be safe. And thanks. All
All
right,
right.
man.
Bye.
See you.
See you later.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is hearing about when someone resonates with something we said. It's truly the reason I continue to make these happen. Comment down below what stuck with you, and we can continue the discussion further. Also consider liking and subscribing. It helps me bring in more amazing creatives and helps me make this show better for you all every episode. Catch y'all next week.